What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another edition of the evolution of Sports Talk Television on a happy hump day edition of the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake. How do we start off this show as we always do on a Monday, Wednesday night, and of course, before and after Bucs games? And oh, by the way, it looks like I'm definitely going to be there. There's no likely definitely about it. I'm going to be there in collaboration with the JP Peterson Show on Monday Night Football. Your Tampa Bay Buccaneers will, of course, take on the hated rival Philadelphia Eagles. How do we start it off? Bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. On tonight's show at 9:30, we will have legendary quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles, former ESPN personality, now pre and post for the Philadelphia Eagles, Ron Jaworski. We'll have the legend himself, Leo Hagerty, and, of course, Ken Podlack. At 10 o'clock, we will have local Tampa Bay artist Janelle Richardson, who has a plea for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. What's that all about? She also knows her football. She wants to be on this platform, so we'll get her on to talk about her career, what's going on, why does she want to talk to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and then, of course, about 10:20, 10:30, we will have the return of Turnbuckle Talk with WWE, AEW action with the madman himself, former XPW announcer Mark Mancini, and the bodyguard of the Berg, Ralph Williams. And as always, we'll take your phone calls as I want to talk to all you Bucs fans right now. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get my co-host on. Here we go. extraordinaire here of the sports web, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Harry the Greek. The Greek is in the building. Greekites unite. Welcome to the sports web, Harry. How you doing?
What's happening, Peter? How you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, buddy. And I tell you right now, a packed up show. Of course, all eyes will be on Monday night. Of course, this weekend in general, lots of great matchups for Wild Card Weekend. But all eyes will be on, of course, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Philadelphia Eagles. Give me your initial thoughts of this matchup, because I'm going to steal your thunder. You said earlier on in the season, if the Bucs and Eagles met up once again, that you felt like the Bucs would have the advantage. What do you say, my friend? Welcome to the evolution.
Wow, what a tale of two. By the way, great segue, by the way, but what a tale of two teams, buddy.
Yeah.
You know, back then I had actually picked Tampa to beat the Philadelphia Eagles, and when I was given that pick out on the over-under, it just didn't quite pan out like that.
No.
They just didn't play very well, and I stuck by my convictions of why I thought Tampa could have beat the Eagles back then. But then a lot of crap happened. They went through about a 5-week span. Tampa didn't play very well, and the Eagles were still really on a roll. And I was like, man, did I really have this Eagles team underrated? No, not at all. Now, Tampa got hot at the right time, even though they lost to New Orleans, kind of limped into the playoffs because they beat a team 9-0 in the Carolina Panthers. And I still want to remind everybody they didn't score a touchdown in that game. But this game was only 3 points, Peter. The Philadelphia Eagles are only a 3-point favorite in this game. When they played back then, does anybody remember what the line was? Anybody? Anybody want to take a guess?
Wasn't it 6 or 7, something along those lines?
Where was the game at, Pete?
It was at Raymond James Stadium.
It was.
I was there.
They were 9-point underdogs.
Yeah,
and now they're only a 3-point underdog against the Philadelphia defending NFC champions.
Yes.
So,
isn't that amazing?
It's almost too good to be true to see two teams do this, cross again. I don't know. I can't explain it. It's going to be quite interesting. I really don't have too many insights on either one of these two teams and which way. I mean, thoughts on which way the game is going to actually go, whether Philadelphia is going to dominate or Tampa is going to dominate. But I don't like what I'm seeing coming out of Philly right now. I really don't. This is a team that's playing really bad, probably worse than the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Wow. And I tell you right now, coaching news, because I know we want to talk about that, but I tell you right now, we also want to get out to the phone lines. I want to take as many phone calls as I can before 9:30. So let's go out to one of our favorite callers, Alex. Alex, welcome to the Evolution. You're on with yours truly, along with the Greek himself, Harry the Greek.
No Wanda Franco talk.
Hey,
guys. Hey, Alex.
No, I'm just kidding. Happy Monday evening, guys.
Happy Monday, buddy.
No, but I'm not Monday. I said Monday. Man,
it's Wednesday. Yeah, right. I said the same thing.
Oh my God,
the same thing.
Hey, you said it too.
Yep.
You said it too.
Yeah, I did.
No, but I wanted to touch base. I think what Harry just said is right. There really is no team that has a better advantage in this game. I think if you look at what both teams are doing, I think we're both sitting pretty dead even. You go into this game and you got the Eagles who have been, really struggling in the past few weeks. Their defense has not played up to par, and I think the Bucs defense has played up to par. I like what I see out of the Bucs defense going to this game.
I mean, now let's talk about it. I mean, that's really the matchup there, right? That the Bucs could expose here, Harry, is Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Baker Mayfield, although the last two games here, whether Baker's been hurt or just, ineffective, you're not so sure about that. So is that the matchup that Bucs fans should look at? Baker Mayfield, that passing game versus that very susceptible Eagle defense, especially that back end.
Well, you know what? It's ironic that you and I are talking about that again, because even back when they played, they were the 29th ranked secondary in the National Football League, and it hasn't improved. Something has happened to the pass rush, this vaunted pass rush from the Philadelphia Eagles, and Tampa could definitely expose it. However, when they did play, they're going to have to shore up a lot of things on this offensive line for Tampa if they want to get the ball downfield, because their front four for the Philadelphia Eagles is still extremely good. It's probably one of the better front fours in all of football. However, they haven't been playing like that. But trust me, it's playoff time. That light bulb can get turned on, and the same thing could repeat and happen all over again. But I don't like what I'm seeing coming out of Philly. So with that being said, if Tampa wants to have any kind of success in this game, ladies and gentlemen, they must run that football. Even if it's without success, you have to get Philadelphia to get up on the line of scrimmage and play press coverage, because they will get exposed in their secondary because the safeties are not playing well whatsoever. If they try to get into a shootout, this will definitely be advantage Philly. It's the team, whoever controls the ball by running the football, will win this football game.
Yeah, and it came down to that last time they played, with Philly winning 25-11. You know, DeAndre Swift went off for 130 yards. So, and they went off in general for the whole game over 200 yards of rushing. So, if this Bucs defense wants to keep this Eagle offense struggling, you've got to stop the run. And I put it on Jalen Hurts, guys. I don't know how healthy he is. He has had a ring finger on his throwing hand there that's messed up. You got A.J. Brown with the knee situation, so you're not sure.
Don't forget, Baker Mayfield's got an ankle now that just came out.
Yep.
They have an extra day of trying to get a little recoup time. I just don't know. This game is just, there's something sneaky about this game. This wouldn't surprise me if Tampa won by 2 touchdowns or if they lost by 2 touchdowns in this game. Let's be honest. Again, let's talk about what this team is. This is a team that just played the worst team in football and didn't put a touchdown in the end zone. The end.
Yeah.
You weren't trying to save players or hide them. Hold on, Andrew. They weren't trying to hide players. They weren't trying to save them. They were actually legitimately trying to score. Baker, short-sighted people have very short memories. Almost 3, not 1, 2, but 3 interceptions in that first half.
Sure.
Okay. They got a lot of things to clean up on offense. But Baker did, however, he did play injured in this game. He gave it his all. Who knows what's going to happen? Like I said, it would not surprise me either way whether they won or lost this game. The deciding question is, who the winner of this game. Are they really going anyplace after this?
If you're betting on this game, and there was a lot of expectations of the Eagles coming into this year and then starting off 10-1, and then now they've lost 6 out of 7, which is disappointing, or 5 out of 6 for this team. I think it's 6 out of now.
You got to play the home team.
5 out of 6. Excuse me, 5 out of 6 games. For me, it's like, okay, if you win this game, where would you bet on it? Are you betting with Tampa? Do you think
you have to
betting with Tampa? Okay,
you have to. A team that's lost 6 to 7 games, even though the Tampa Bay Buccaneers did not put the ball in the end zone against the Carolina Panthers. I'm going to keep driving that home.
Yeah.
Okay. It doesn't mean that they're not going to score. It's going to be a different game plan. Remember, this is going to be the first playoff game for Canales on this offense with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. However, with that being said, Philadelphia is experienced, man. They're battle tested, but they don't look good. And I just got to keep telling you this. They just don't look good. And from what I'm hearing, there's a lot of dissension in that locker room, and it starts with QB1 in Philadelphia, and that's never a good sign.
Well, and I definitely got to ask Jaws about.
Oh, by the way, sorry about the cans, not having my microphone or my setup in here. This was kind of a last-minute ordeal for me. I did an interview earlier today, and I was talking about an old colleague of mine with Bridgestone, John Bonney. He absolutely loves the Baltimore Ravens. And, when I was talking about it, they were asking the Greeks picks today, and I was like, you know what? Baltimore's the team to beat this year. Peter, you hit that dead on the head earlier in the season when you were talking about Lamar Jackson, the whole 9 yards. Let me tell you something, man. I haven't seen a team this good in so many. This team is actually better now than the Ray Lewis-led team. Not defensively. Okay? Defensively, they're good enough to win you a championship. But this team offensively, forget about it, bro. Lamar Jackson's throwing it from the pocket. He's running all over the place. The defenses they're absolutely in hell when they have to game plan against this Baltimore offense. In Kansas City, I'm going to tell you right now, I hope and I can't wait for those two teams to line up this year, because I'm going to tell you right now, Baltimore will beat this team by not 1 but 2 touchdowns in that game.
They may not get past Miami because that's a tough matchup, and Tyreek Hill is returning to Kansas City. A lot of storylines. We definitely
Miami's missing 5 players on defense. That's a big problem.
Big problem. All right, Alex, appreciate the call, my friend.
I'm sorry, Alex. Alex, did you have another question, buddy? I can get a little talkative sometimes.
It's all right.
Oh, no, there's 2 more things I wanted to touch base with before I head out of here.
Okay.
I'll talk about the Bucs real quick before I go, because I know we don't have much time. 2 things. Everything you said about the offense, about the run game is correct. But I do think what you're going to see different out of this, or what I would like to see different versus what I'm going to think we're going to see different, is I think we're going to see a little bit of more of these 15-yard, 10-yard little slants mixed in with that run game, because I didn't like that. And as Harry said, remember, guys, we didn't get into the end zone one time. There's a big reason why we didn't get to the end zone. We kept throwing these 30-yard dots in the tight press coverage. Like the Panthers were playing great man coverage going deep. So I think what you're going to see a little bit different out of this offense on Monday night when the Bucs host the Eagles is you're going to see a little bit of more. I don't think you're going to see as much of the deep ball as we saw this game. If you can mix that run game in, and he's absolutely correct. Harry, I never doubt it because he knows his shit. But you got it. He's right. You got to mix that run game. But I think you're going to see a little bit more of a different passing game than what we saw Sunday, because I really think that going deep too many times is why we couldn't score, because they were playing great coverage. The Panthers don't go by their record. I think the Panthers have some great defense. And I think we saw that on Sunday.
That's a little strong. You don't win 2 or 3 ball games by having a great defense.
Well,
that defense is pretty porous, but I understand exactly where you're coming from.
Yeah.
But that's not a really good football team right now, and they were mailing it in. And you can talk about being it's a divisional game, and you can throw the records. No, man, this was the worst team in football, and you had the win, and you're in. I just want you to think about that. You had 2 weeks to win 1 football game to win your division. You got your ass handed to you by the New Orleans Saints. You weren't even in the game.
No, definitely.
And then you didn't even look like you were in the game in the first half against the Carolina Panthers. So someone needs to explain to me, why is everybody so high in Tampa in this game?
Because Philadelphia, like you said, looks so terrible.
Because Philadelphia doesn't look good. I'm going to tell you right now, and you're going to hear it right first. You're going to get it live right here from the Greek. This is either going to be a win for the Buccaneers, or it's going to be a get-right game for the Philadelphia Eagles. It's going to be one of the two.
Yep.
All right, Alex, appreciate the call. As always, use that second call if you want to call back. Bucs fans, I want you to get on the phone line, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Want to go out to Dan Graziano of ESPN. He had this to say on Get Up today about the situation involving the Philadelphia Eagle coaching job. But you know what? I asked for a phone call, so let's go out to it. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the Evolution.
Hey, Peter, Jeremy, how you doing?
Doing good, Jeremy. How you doing? How do you feel about this game on Monday night, Philadelphia versus your Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
3 names.
Okay.
Jamel Dean.
Okay.
Carlton Davis.
Okay.
Antoine Winfield Jr., the best safety in football right now.
By the way, he was also, once again, passed up not only for the Pro Bowl, but also first team All-Pro by the NFL Players Association. So, enough of this.
Was that 3 names or 4 names?
Well, that's three names.
Well, you forgot the 4th name. You know who it is?
Who is it?
QB1, Baker Mayfield. It's all going to depend on him at the end of the game.
And see, I agree with you on that, Harry, but also I see where Jeremy's coming from, because
without question.
And the first matchup, I don't think you had Carlton Davis versus A.J. Brown. And A.J. Brown
was
over 100.
A.J. Brown's hurt, by the way.
There you go. So you got
not just him. No, not just him, but also Smith as well. He's got a high ankle sprain against 2 corners that are getting healthier on coverage. So the real question is, yes, Baker Mayfield is important, but however, can they contain an injured Jalen Hurts on an injured dislocated finger? And mind you, it's probably going to rain that night. I look at the forecast. I'll be wearing a poncho when I go to the game.
That means they're going to be running.
Yeah,
they can run. That's fine. They can run. And that's another question. Good point, Harry. Can they run the ball again with DeAndre Swift? But It always hit a second game, round 2. Can this defense shut down the run? You shut down the run, that Eagle offense won't be able to do nothing.
Harry, I'm going to come out to you. Great question, Jeremy. Can the Bucs shut down the run? Because once again, they got gashed for over 200 yards of rushing. That was the big time key. Hurts didn't necessarily have his best game, even without a Carlton Davis and a A.J. Brown going for over 100 receiving yards. So once again, the big time component, can they shut down that Eagles rushing attack?
They can shut down the rushing attack. The likelihood of that's going to happen is going to be very minimal. Tampa doesn't do very well against mobile quarterbacks, and that's been part of their history for so many years. I mean, let's be real, Pete. Mm-hmm. If Philadelphia brings their A game, which they haven't in the last 7 or 8 games, they're going to be a very, very difficult team to beat. But my question is, 7, 8 weeks ago, this would have been probably a 10 or 12 point spread that the Eagles would have been favored by. This wasn't even supposed to be close. And again, I need to remind Bucs fans and the people that are out there watching this that they're only favored by 3 points, and there's a reason for it. They are not healthy. They're not playing well, and the secondary is really not playing very well. That's the bottom line. Again, I'm going to repeat it. This is either going to be a very marginal win for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, or it's going to be a get-right game for the Philadelphia Eagles. And I really don't know which way to lean yet to this game. I haven't done all the tape work, to be honest with you, but I don't like what I'm seeing coming out of Jalen Hurts. A.J. Brown's not playing his best football, and the secondary for Philadelphia, for some reason, just doesn't look like the same secondary. But you know what, Pete? I've seen a lot of defenses do this. They call it playing possum. And I don't think that's the case. I think Philadelphia's got some issues right now. Can't wait to hear what Jaws has to say when he comes on about it. But this is going to be a very intriguing game. But I have a funny feeling, Tampa fans, please don't hurt me and hurt me for saying this. I think this is going to be a get-right game for the Philadelphia Eagles.
And see, I think there's a little bit more there. And I'll go out to Dan Graziano really quick, and we'll finish up with you, Jeremy, and I'll see what you think about this. He said this on Get Up today. I don't think you should rule it out, because I think if the organization decides it's gotten bad there, inside the building, culturally, all that kind of thing, I think they've shown in the past that they're not afraid to move on. Doug Peterson was just 2 years removed from winning the Super Bowl, which no other coach in the history of the organization has ever done. They got rid of him because of the way the season ended. So I think it's worth keeping an eye on if things go very badly for them Monday night in Tampa, and you're looking at the last 2 months going, this is not it.
Oh,
Jeremy.
On, they're not going to fight. They're not going to fire a head coach. They're not going to fire a coach 1 year removed from the Super Bowl, and the team that kind of tanked in the second half. After week 11, this was by far the best football team in the National Football League. San Francisco was a myth. The Baltimore Ravens, they weren't really talked about. They were like the forgotten team. Something has happened in the past 6 or 7 weeks, and it's all about momentum. Whoever catches fire. For some reason, this team started off super hard, and they didn't look like they were regressing at all. And all of a sudden, the train, it just came off the rails. I don't understand what happened.
It's either injury. It's either the fact of the coordinators that they lost now are coming back to haunt. I mean, I can't put my finger on it. I heard rumors that, Jalen Hurts possibly in that locker room could be a problem.
I've heard that as well. But again, this could be the get-right game for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah.
Mark my words, man. A team that's 1 year removed from the Super Bowl, that got better not statistically, but player-wise.
Yeah.
Boy, if they get it together, this is going to be really, really hard team to beat, including the 49ers. This is something to worry about.
It is. Jeremy, biggest key to the game for the Bucs to win on Monday night versus the Eagles.
What type of top balls we're going to see? We're going to see a tight defensive game like he did against the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl, which he won, by the way, calling the game. And second of all, can Baker deliver the passes when he throws the ball with confidence? That's my only biggest concern about Baker Mayfield. The defense, I feel, will be fine. I feel we got 2 healthy corners and the best safety in football. But can Baker deliver the ball? Because obviously we're not going to be able to run the ball as well. I feel like Canales needs to come up with his best game plan he ever came out with, the best game plan ever. Because you're right.
You can say that about any game, to be honest with you. It just so happens to be the playoffs. Let me make it short and simple for you. If Tampa does not try to run the football, that front 7 for Philadelphia will be all over Baker. I mean, it will be disgusting. They better run the football. regardless, whether they have success or not, they will have a very difficult time, because I'll tell you one thing about Philly's front four, they're very disciplined. That defensive line, they sit in their gaps. I watch a lot of film on this team. They are by far one of the best front four that I've seen in 10 years.
And I tell you right now, I wouldn't say running inside, because you got Jalen Carter and, of course, big guys in that middle.
I would just have to make the attempt of running, Peter.
Run it outside on the perimeter. But I do agree with Jeremy. I think it comes down to Todd Bowles also being aggressive, coming out and establishing that passing game, getting rid of the ball as fast as you can by Baker Mayfield, because if you do that, you can develop that confidence. Jeremy, thanks a lot for the call. Use your second call if you want to, okay?
Thanks for calling, Jeremy.
Oh, hold on. Go ahead.
One more thing.
Yes.
To all the season ticket holders of the Bucs, please do not sell to the Eagle fans. I want to see more red than green in that stadium. I beg you, please.
Oh, stop.
Fans, do the right thing. Go Bucs.
All right. Yeah, I think he's right. I think he's absolutely right. And that's probably the most disappointing thing you've seen on social media is, how many fans.
Philly fans travel really well, Peter. Okay. Welcome to Florida. The Bears fans, they travel very well. The Philly fans, they travel real well. You know where they don't travel well to, Peter? To Philadelphia. Fans don't travel really well to Philadelphia.
That's the point, though. You've got home field advantage, and you look at that Week 3 matchup on Monday Night Football, and it was like Philly South down here. And if you had a home field, and that again, that's
going to be like that again.
I hope
just
not.
Get used to it. Welcome to Tampa Bay, Peter. I see Ron sitting in your back room. I don't want you guys to be rude to him. Go ahead and get him on. I'll cut out of here. Ron, I see you in the back room. How you doing, bud? Make sure you give my boy Peter here some really good thoughts. Anyway, you can catch me live right here on the Sports Web. I'm Harry the Greek. I'm going to give you all your picks. Just remember one thing: keep your bets low and your returns high. Always bet responsibly and never bet out of your means. We'll talk to you later on this week. And Peter, thanks for having me on, buddy.
Absolutely. There you go. Harry the Greek, professional handicapper extraordinaire here on the Evolution. I tell you what, let's go out to the comments before we get out to the guys, because we got to get Leo on with us. So we'll wait for him to come. So we'll read these comments first as usual. Let's go out to Christopher Cole. Evening peeps. Thank you very much for tuning in, guys. Eric says, awesome. Christopher Cole, I was going to try to go to the game, but I saw the weather report. Yeah, it could be ugly. And once again, that's where the running game could definitely be a big-time factor, especially for both teams. So who's the advantage on? Well, you would say from the first matchup, it's the Eagles, because they rushed for over 200 yards. Now the challenge is that Todd Bowles defense. If your staple is to stop the running game, then the Bucs defense has to step up on Monday night. We'll see. No, but I remember you saying the Bucs would win 13 games with Baker. I tell you right now, as crazy as that sounds, because they had 9 wins, there were certainly winnable games versus the Houston Texans. You could have won that game. The Atlanta Falcons, you could have won that game. There are a couple games on that schedule, so it could have easily been 13. It could have been easily 10, which is what I said, Anthony. Andrew Fulbert says, what's good, gents? What's going on? Let's go out to Jonas here. We need our offensive coordinator to come up with some good stuff there next week. Again, we'll see what happens, because this is a big time challenge, because like Harry said, this defense can get after it. But if you can avoid that pressure with Baker Mayfield, hopefully being healthy, he's not going to be 100%, but hopefully healthier than he was versus the Carolina Panthers, and you give him the necessary time, then I think he can definitely make some things happen, because that matchup is between those wide receivers. We continue to talk about it. What's the advantage of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. So you got to figure out how you give Baker time to give those guys the opportunity to make some plays versus that secondary. All right, let's go out to Christopher Cole. Run between the tackles and outside the tackles. And I tell you what, we'll get back to the comments in a moment. Let me go ahead and get this guy's intro on. Here we go. Former Coach Scout and now media member of Night Sports Productions and Amped Up Sports, the legend himself, Mr. Leo Hagerty. Welcome to the Evolution. How you doing tonight, my friend?
Well, I'm fine. South Florida had a big win tonight over Tulsa, and I'm sitting in my car in the parking lot because, Peter, I'm not going to miss this show tonight with Ken Podlack, yourself, and the legendary Ron Jaworski.
Well, absolutely, and he is legendary. And I tell you right now, he wanted an intro last time. So guess what? I'm going to give him the same intro. Legendary quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles, former ESPN personality, now pre and post for the Fly Eagles Fly, Mr. Ron Jaworski. Here we go. It's a Philly thing. It's the eye of the tiger. Ron, welcome to the evolution of Sports Talk Television, my friend. How are you doing tonight?
Peter, you and Leo, it's always a pleasure being with you guys talking football. So looking forward to the next few minutes with you.
Absolutely. And let's go out to Mr. Ken Podlack. Welcome. And it is dark there, so I guess we don't have any Ken right now. So we'll have to come back to him once he gets his video back. Let's start out with it. The Philadelphia Eagles start out 10-1. They've lost 5 out of 6. In your opinion, Jaws, what's the problem with the Philadelphia Eagles? Welcome to the Sports.
When you lose five of your last 6 games and back-to-back losses to the New York Giants and Arizona Cardinals, you have problems. There's no question about that. If you would have told me after week 11 that this Eagle team would fall apart to where it's at right now, I would have said you're crazy. When the season started, I evaluated all the teams around the league. I thought the Philadelphia Eagles had the best roster in the NFL, and maybe I'm a little bit of a homer. I'll admit that, but it was a very talented football team. The offense, by the way, is still very, very talented. The biggest downfall has been with the defense. And injuries played a major part, but also players that had great years last year have had mediocre years this year. And in this league, if you have mediocrity on your team, you get exposed rather quickly. So the fact that this team has lost 5 of their last 6 games is actually mind-boggling to me. Just absolutely mind-boggling. With the talent they have to be sitting where they are right now.
Yeah, and I tell you right now, Leo, you got a question, but I want to ask this. I mean, how concerned are you about Jalen Hurts? You played quarterback in this league. That injury to his finger, his throwing hand, how concerned do you think the Eagles are as an organization? And, do you think there's type of a pain threshold there that will affect his accuracy in this game on Monday night versus the Bucs?
I'm sure there will be. Everyone that's watched the game on Sunday night saw, what the shape that finger was in. And in my career, I had a very similar injury to that. But it was my pinky finger, and it was sprained as well. And I missed literally the rest of the season. That was about the last 6 or 7 games of that 86 season, I think it was. Mm-hmm. And there was some pain, but it just, to throw the football with velocity and accuracy and spin on it, your fingers all have to work well. If he's got 4 fingers working well and 1 not working well, he could have a problem. Now, they haven't practiced yet this week, so no one really knows how he's done in practice. But, when you have that injury, there's going to be something negative about how you're throwing the football.
You know what, Ron? You bring up the point that this is a different team from the first 10, 11 games. I think they had an identity the first 10 or 11 games, especially on offense. They were run first, pass second. Now it's like they don't have an identity. Would you agree with that?
No, I would disagree, Leo. I don't think they ran the ball very well. They abandoned the run at times. In the Tampa game, you may think they're a great running team because they were committed to the run in that game. DeAndre Swift had a heck of a game with 16 carries, $130. They had over 200 yards rushing the game, and they had balance on offense. They haven't done that all season long. They've been very uneven as far as their offensive balance. It does seem because they have big playmakers. And by the way, we'll talk about Jalen's injury a lot, but remember A.J. Brown, bruised his knee in that Giants game. Devontae Smith, got hurt 2 weeks ago in the Arizona game. Their status is still up in the air right now. So, when you lose those 2 great players, those 2 explosive players, that will have a huge impact on the game. So it's almost hard to take a real competitive look at this game until you know the status of obviously Jalen Hurts and the 2 wide receivers as well. So, those guys are explosive that they're not, right now are questionable.
I want to go out to Ken Podlack here. Welcome to the Evolution. We got video, we got sound with you.
Yes, we do, Peter. Good evening to you. Pleasure to be with you. Leo, my brother, always a pleasure. Mr. Jaworski, big fan, and I love your work with Deuces Rogers on TV in Philadelphia. Nice job.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
All right. So you got a question, Ken, for Mr. Jaws here?
I do. Ron,
way to do it.
It seems to me like I'm an old defensive back, a safety, as a matter of fact. And when I figured out what my first step was whether it was forward or backward, a run or a pass, I always felt better and I felt I had an edge. I sort of feel like these last couple of games with the Eagles that the offense has been pretty plain and the defenses have been able to figure out what their first step is, and that makes the game play downhill for the defense. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think what I've seen the last few weeks where they've really struggled a little bit offensively is they really haven't handled the blitz very well. And it's been sporadic at best all season long, picking up the blitz. And most people that say that are, I won't say unknowledgeable toward the game, are going to blame it on the quarterback. He's not getting rid of the ball, blah, 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 blah. Well, I look at the tape every week. So I look at all 11 players in every single play, offensively and defensively. And to beat the blitz, it's number one, it is the quarterback. I'll agree with that. But number two, it's wide receivers. When they bring more than you could block, you have to have side adjustments. You have to adjust to the blitzes. And, Wink Martindale with the New York Giants is one of the best designers of defense in the NFL. He's exotic. He's creative. He's like Todd Bowles. I expect to see a lot of craziness out of Todd Bowles because the Eagles have struggled versus heavy blitz packages over the last month. And, when you're not picking up the blitz, once that gets on tape, they're coming after you. And you better prove you can get the ball out of your hands. There were some of the plays in the Giants game last week. Dallas Goedert was running 10 yards down the field, looking downfield rather than looking back when linebacker and safety on his side blitz. There's no one else to pick up those blitzers. He's got to turn around after 2 steps and catch the football. Hot principles have to be an integral part of your offense if you don't have maximum protection schemes. But ultimately, the defense can always bring one more than you could block. So the Eagles have really struggled in that area over the last month.
And I think
Ron.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry, Ken.
So just to follow up for Ron on that, Ron, I noticed that the last couple of games and actually throughout the season, that our quarterback has fled the pocket to the right and thrown the ball away. And if I see that like 3 or 4 times in this game, I think my head's going to explode. Is that the quarterback's fault, or is that the call of the offensive coordinator for the offensive play?
Well, it's instinctive. When you're being rushed, you're not having time to think, I'm going to escape to my right, I'm going to escape to my left, I'm going to hit it up the middle. I think those are just natural instinct that Jalen Hurts has. But if you did a study, which there's more analytics being done in the NFL now than my head's ready to explode, reading all these analytical reports, he's right-handed. Normally, a right-handed quarterback will try to escape to his right. So some teams have done a really good job of keeping that left defensive end as the quarterback's right, keep him in that contained mode so he can't get out. But Jalen's an outstanding runner. He's proven throughout his career he can run with the football. He has not been healthy this year. He had the knee injury in the season. He's not the same guy running the football. In fact, I quiver when they run these zone reads. I absolutely hate them, guys. Not because they're like bad plays. It's because don't put your quarterback in harm's way if you don't have to. That position is so vital. If you get your quarterback knocked out, you're likely to lose. So I don't like all these RPOs. I don't like the zone reads. I don't like quarterback bootlegs. I don't like any of that stuff. Not because I don't like the plays. I don't want my quarterback getting hurt.
With that being said, we talk about quarterbacks, and I want to get back to Baker Mayfield in a moment. But if you're Todd Bowles, known for blitzing, but also playing back, what are you doing against Jalen Hurts because he is injured? Are you forcing him to throw from the pocket and trying to keep him in that pocket to contain him? Because we saw him in that week 3 where he gets outside of the pocket, you give him a second chance, and he'll make a long throw or make a big-time run. So is your game plan going into this game? Should the Bucs game plan going into this game be to force him to stay in the pocket, contain him so he can't get outside the pocket?
Well, I think that mush rush is a waste of time, quite honestly. The spy seems to be a waste of time, quite honestly. These guys spy a player on the quarterback. He's a better athlete. He'll make a miss and he'll gain yards on the play. The mush rush, where everyone stays in their lane, you give a quarterback this league 3.5 seconds, he's going to slice you up. And Jalen will do that if they go that. As we spoke earlier, what has hurt this Eagles offense has been their blitz pickup. Jalen has struggled against the blitz occasionally. At times he's hit it and hit it well when the protection was there, when he didn't get home with the blitz. So with Jalen, you got to be very, very careful. And, he looks for the big play. The one thing about Jalen, he's not going to look for the check down. He's looking for AJ and Devontae Smith deep because that's pretty much the design of their offense. But when I think of Todd Bowles, who I know very well, I've known Todd back since his days at Temple. I played against him when he was at Washington. He was my next-door neighbor here when he coached in Philadelphia. So I know him and his family very well, and I love the man. He's a great man, a great designer of defense. He will come after Jalen Hurts. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind. if there's been a kryptonite for the Eagle offense, it's been the blitz pressure. So, and Todd's a very good designer. He's not going to come out with the Buddy Ryan craziness 11 after the quarterback. There'll be safe blitzes, but there'll be overload blitzes where he thinks he can get someone home.
Ron, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
How important is Kelsey in that, determining which way to slide?
Well, obviously he's the most important guy on that offensive line as far as giving direction where they want to go. But there has to be that communication with the quarterback as well. And that's the one thing. It hasn't been really a communication problem. And by the way, Kelsey, 35 years old, had another all-pro season. I hope the guy doesn't retire. He's not only a terrific football player, he's a terrific person and does a lot in the community. So I hate to see guys like that think about retiring. Everyone starts thinking about retiring at the end of the season when you're all beat up. So hopefully, when the season is over, he'll reconsider his thoughts of retiring and decide to stay in Philadelphia. But clearly, that battery between the quarterback and his center, they must see that defense through the same eyes. So, Kelsey can't be signaled, let's block out here, and all of a sudden the quarterback can say, no, block over there. That's when you have mechanical breakdowns. And as I'm talking to you guys, I'm thinking about something I'd like to see the Eagles do this week, which they don't do enough of. And we all study the game. We love the game. The Eagles do not use quick counts. Mm-hmm. And I've watched, every game all season long. In other words, those Peyton Manning, you think of Peyton Manning, walk up the line, goes, red, boom, ball snap, hut, ball snap. There might be times up there, hey, Omaha, blue 38, hut, oh, calm it down, using 20 seconds of line of scrimmage. It's a cat and mouse game. When the quarterback goes a quick count, that mandates and forces the defense to show their coverage, show their scheme. So if you're giving them 20 seconds to adjust to you, I think that's a mistake. I would like to see Jalen Hurts probably get more under center. He's almost predominantly in the shotgun, except for the push tush. But I'd like to see him use more quick counts to make the defense dictate to the defense what coverage they're going to be in.
I got to tell you, and we're on with Ron Jaworski here, legendary Philadelphia Eagle quarterback, former ESPN now, pre and post for the Philadelphia Eagles. You got the legend Leo Hagerty, you got Ken Podlack. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about here on the Sports Web. Let's talk about Todd Bowles. Do you think he's unfairly criticized, if you will, with what he's done with this Tampa Bay Buccaneer team? Because people will look at it, two-time NFC South champion, but they don't see the emotion. Some people don't necessarily think he's the greatest coach out there, a better defensive coordinator. Do you think he's unfairly criticized, in your opinion, Ron?
Unfortunately, in the National Football League, it's about winning and losing. And I think Todd's a terrific football coach. I think the players play hard for him every single snap. I don't see any loafing when I watch their tape. They're a well-coached, well-disciplined team, probably short of some talent in some areas. And you can't, I won't say what I want to say, but you can't turn chicken beef into chicken.
Oh, you can say that. Listen, Charles, you can have that on here on this show.
That's true. But if you don't have the talent, you can't turn it into wins. It's really that simple. And let's get real. You're talking about a Tampa team that was a Super Bowl champion only a few short years ago, and so it's hard to repeat that when the bar is up here. New changes in players, new changes in the coaching staff. It's hard to replicate what we did a couple years ago. And most teams that go through a Super Bowl championship hit rock bottom. And this team did not hit rock bottom. It's actually in the playoffs. Let's get real here. I don't think we're talking about Tampa Bay and Philadelphia as being Super Bowl contenders. I don't see that happening. I mean, you guys limped past to Carolina. We got beat by Arizona and New York. So, none of us are like, hey, we're going to kick your butt. None of us are really excited about, we're definitely good, heading to Las Vegas for the Super Bowl. But you're still alive, and it's all that matters. And Todd Bowles has his team still alive. Nick Sirianni still has his Eagle team still alive. That's all that matters. What happened over the last 17 weeks is irrelevant. We can talk till the cows come home. It doesn't mean a damn thing. Not a damn thing. What happens on Monday night is all that matters.
I tell you right now, do you think Todd has done enough to keep his job? Because the fan base, and when we talk to the fan base and social media and stuff like that, let's just say they do get their doors blown off by the Eagles. In your opinion, do you think Todd Bowles has done enough to keep his job with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
Absolutely. And we're hearing the same stuff in Philly, guys. By the way, after we were 10-1, they're all questioning, Nick Sirianni now. Should he be the coach? The guy's 34-17. He's 2-2 in the playoffs, have been in the Super Bowl in his 3-year coaching career. Yet, the fans always got to be up in arms about something. So I guess, fire the coach makes them real happy. And I think it would be dumb on both accounts if that did happen. Either way.
That's the lunatic fringe talking.
Yeah, that is correct. But they do have a voice. They make our job fun, right?
Yep. Ron, let me jump in because, the Eagles' pass rush has been non-existent the past 5 or 6 games, but I don't think it's the fault of the defense. I'm seeing quarterbacks that play the Eagles, they're throwing on rhythm and they're throwing quick to kind of negate that pass rush. Are you seeing the same thing?
You're absolutely right. And that's all you have to do against it. They had 70 sacks last year. They got 41 this year. But remember, their schedule last year was a piece of cake. I mean, they didn't play a lot of great offensive teams, and they played with leads because the offense was generating so many points. And the dynamic of playing defense really changed this year. In fact, it was kind of interesting. After the Eagles lost to Arizona, in Nick Sirianni's press conference, he kind of mentioned the Washington Commanders blueprint. And probably a lot of people did, maybe around the country, that if they even watch a press conference or coaches' comments after the game, it really resonated with me because in that game, which the Eagles lost to Washington last season, not this season, Washington controlled the football for 40 minutes. And here's what they did on offense. 3 yards, 3 yards, 4 yards, first down. 4 yards, 2 yards, 4 yards, first down. 8 yards, 1 yard, 1 yard, first down. They controlled the clock for 40 minutes. They wore the Eagles' defense down. And it was a lot what Arizona did 2 weeks ago, just ran the football. They let the 35-second clock come down to 2 seconds. They weren't going to give the Eagles the football. They were going to control the clock. No, you got to get first downs, which is, there's no guarantee of that. But to control the football, run the football, that's how it'll be important. That if your Buccaneers want to win, they're going to have to stop the run. Like I said, we ran for 201 in that first matchup. But if you don't stop, if you can't run the ball offensively, you're going to be in for a long day.
And Peter, just to Leo's point there about noticing the lack of the pass rush, in my mind, I think of a pass rush as including the blitz, but that's not what the Philadelphia Eagles have done this season. They believe that they can get home with just their D-line. And I do think that that's going to change in the game that we'll see Monday night. At least I hope that it will. And I think that what they did during the season was a little bit of protecting their pass defense, including their questionable linebacking core. So if you blitz, you put more pressure on the safeties, the slot guys, and the corners. And I think they didn't want to expose that during the season, but it's all hands on deck for Monday night. So we'll hopefully see some more blitzing from those Eagles defense.
If you're blitzing, and I agree with you, Ken, blitzing is great when it works. For this Eagle team, I don't think they can blitz a lot. It's based on what you have to do on the back end of the blitz. You got Shaq Leonard and Ken Morrow, guys that were on the street, and now they're starting. You got guys who have to play. And remember, if you blitz, someone's got to cover those backs on the backfield. One of those backers might get caught up with a tight end or even a wide receiver, depending on the formation. So I don't think you can trust them. The safety's a bit of a problem. Howie has tried to piecemeal this defense together all season long. Howie Roseman being the general manager of the Eagles. A lot of guys got hurt in that secondary. And that when you start bringing guys in the middle of the season, you really have to diminish what you can do in your blitz packages or all your coverage schemes. When you've got new players shuffling in and out, they really don't understand the system. You don't have that nonverbal communication that is so important in the secondary, where a guy can just look at a guy and he knows what he's doing. Look at his safety on the other side. He knows where he's going to take a post away or he's going to take away the outside. That's because you've worked together so long. With all the new players going through this defense, the nonverbal communication just hasn't been there. And they've been getting blown up on some big plays.
All due respect, Ron, but I think you got to roll the dice come Monday night. That's my thought.
That's great. That's why we're doing the show.
Yeah.
That's it. We're on the evolution.
We won't know till Monday night what they're going to do.
There you go.
Yeah, that's it. And I'll tell you right now, Baker Mayfield, we talked about him before the season. I mean, give me your overall analysis, Jaws, of what he's done this year. 28 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. I was talking to your old buddy, Sal Palantonio of ESPN, and I even said, you know what? Should he be in the conversation for MVP? Because you look at his numbers, especially touchdown to interception ratio, he's right up there with top quarterbacks. So give me your overall analysis of Baker Mayfield.
I think he's had a tremendous season, and I'm happy for him because, I mean, he's hung in there. And then the one thing you have to do with the quarterback position, a lot of times it's never going to be pretty, but you can never give up on yourself. The Buccaneers never gave up on him. I'd like to see him have a few more weapons at his disposal, but clearly, you mentioned those numbers. When you have that touchdown to interception ratio, That's really, really good stuff. It means he's taking care of the football. And I just love the energy he brings to the game. I know he's a little banged up right now, but hey, it's week 18 of the season coming up, so I don't think anyone's really healthy. But I have a lot of respect for Baker Mayfield. He's been through a lot as an individual, and he's shown his resiliency and his toughness and the ability to throw the football. He can still throw the football with anybody.
You know what, Ron? Here's my big question. The Eagles came to Tampa week 3 and beat the Buccaneers. How much from a mental standpoint is that important, knowing they can come to Tampa and win a football game?
I mean, that seems like it was like 2019, Leo.
Well, tell me about it. Yeah, it seems like 10 years ago.
Week 3 to week 18 is like, years. The same teams. They played a Monday night game, blah, blah, blah. The Eagles routed them 25-11, LDR, 470 yards, 170 yards. It's all irrelevant. The players have gotten better or worse. The schemes have gotten better or worse. The coaching's gotten better or worse. They're two different teams, but the bottom line is whatever happened, it's history. There ain't nothing you can do about that. They'll study the tape, not as much for scheme, but for individual matchups. They know what at this point of the season, everyone knows what everyone else's scheme is. Yeah, there may be a wrinkle here, a wrinkle there, but there's going to be no magic dust that they're going to throw up in here and win the game. The team that comes out and plays better physically, I'll say this flat out, I'll guarantee you this, the team that is more physical on Monday night will win the football game. It's not going to be a finesse game. It's not going to be, double reverse pass that are going to win the game. The team that wins the battle of the trenches will win the football game. It's kind of one of those a mano games. Neither of these teams are playing good football. They're playoff teams, but they're not playing their best football. So I'll guarantee you, I know what Nick Sirianni's saying. I know what Todd Bowles saying. Guys, we got to go out there and hit him in the mouth. Last man standing will win the game.
Yeah, and you talk about the weather situation. You may have rain, so you may be forced to run the ball in the first place. I want to go around the league a little bit. How surprised were you that Pete Carroll walked away today? It didn't seem like it, because you listened to the press conference, and it certainly seemed like it, and now he's going to be an advisor for the Seattle Seahawks. How surprised were you by that? And then furthermore, going outside of NFL, how about Nick Saban retiring? How much of a loss is that to college football in general, in your opinion, Jaws?
Well, I got to tell you about Nick Saban, because early in his career, I was not a big Nick Saban fan. I didn't like the way his career ended in Miami, and I had friends that were on that team, and they didn't like the way it ended. And I was kind of like, this isn't for Nick. He's a different kind of guy. But he goes to back to college football, and he lights it up winning wise. But I've got to know a lot of players that played for Alabama, and they absolutely have nothing but rave reviews about Nick Saban. And I see the way he's matured his players. His players are always very classy. They handle themselves well with the media. They don't have big egos. For the most part, everyone's got an ego. We know that. But I just like the way that he has handled his program at Alabama, and even going back to LSU. He's handled his program well. He's handled his players well. He just wasn't made to be an NFL coach, but as a college coach, one of the best ever. And I've got to know him a little bit, and I certainly don't change how I felt about him at the NFL level. But man, when it came to college football, he knew how to get the job done.
What about Pete Carroll? Pete Carroll, your thoughts on him? Are you surprised that he's out? Because he's 72 years old, Jaws, but he certainly seems.
So what's the problem with that, Pete?
Oh, nothing.
Come on,
get him, Jaws, get him.
Listen, I'm 45. I get that. He has all the energy in the world, so I don't understand it. I still think he can coach in the league. That's why I'm surprised by it. How surprised are you?
Well, first of all, I stopped counting at my age at 39, so that's where it ended, right? I'm like, Jack Benny, stop counting. People go, who the hell is Jack Benny? But I think he stopped counting at 39, and so did I. And I think Pete did the same thing. And I'm sorry to see Pete leave the NFL. That guy brought incredible energy to the Seattle Seahawks and to the NFL. When you watch a pregame show, they always showed Pete Carroll on the sideline warming up. He's throwing a ball with his wide receiver, his quarterback. He's got that little kid enthusiasm for the game. And sometimes as head coaches, we get caught up in all the bigness to the game and the media and the fans and the hoopla. I think Pete's just a really good guy that loves the game and loves being around his players. I'm not sure every coach is like that. I can't say who is and who isn't, but Pete had that little kid passion, that little kid enthusiasm, like that kid jumping on the bed when we were little guys, thinking we're going to score the winning touchdown in the Super Bowl. Pete reminds me of that era of my life where he just had fun playing the game. So we're going to miss him.
You know what, Ron? I'm going to throw this out at you, and you are wide open to answer it. every time I watch a video of Lawrence Taylor, every hit
come
he
on,
made
Leo, I'm having a
you
good day.
is illegal today. It's illegal. You can't even hit the quarterback anymore. Has the rules gotten to a point where it's touch football on the quarterback?
Of course it is, and you know I'm happy for that. You know, there was a time when I had the record for quarterback starts at 116. It was a different era of football. You know, the guy, you could hit the helmet, you could hit the knee, you could hit anywhere. Now you got a target about your shoulder to shoulder and your belly. That's the only place you can hit the quarterback. So from a player safety perspective, absolutely yes. But you're mentioning Lawrence Taylor, and him and I have become pretty good friends after football. And there's been a lot of talk in Philly lately about Hassan Reddick dropping into coverage rather than blitzing the quarterback. And it has not basically been effective. So I'm thinking to myself, as I'm doing some media interview, I said, man, I would say thank you whenever Lawrence Taylor dropped into coverage. That's one less shot I'm going to take in that game. So it brought back some memories saying, yeah, I would see a linebacker drop into coverage. I thought of Lawrence Taylor, please drop into coverage.
Wow, that's great stuff there. All right, I got one final question for you, Jaws. Bill Belichick, do you think he's done in New England, or do you think he moves on somewhere else? Or could he be like his friend Nick Saban and basically walk off into the sunset because he has nothing to prove? What do you think the legacy of Bill Belichick?
Yeah, I wouldn't speculate on Bill and what he's going to do. You know, Bill and I go way back. You know, when he was on Bill Parcells' staff, you know, I was the quarterback of the Eagles in the 80s, and we had to play them twice a year. So I got to know at least how he thought. He thinks a lot better now than when he had to play against me. A lot more creative now than that. But it was just great to kind of have the mind game that you had to play with the defensive coordinator and challenge his defense like he would challenge our offense. So I have great memories and great respect for Bill Belichick. And I certainly do hope he stays in the game. You know, I also played a couple years for Don Shula down in Miami, who's the winningest coach of all time, you know, with 347 wins. And, you know, if you're Bill Belichick and you had this great career, it's disappointing they had the year they had this year, because I know he would like to crept up a little higher to Don Shula. But if you've gone this far, I got to believe Bill still wants to coach. He still has the energy to coach, and he certainly has the intelligence to coach. So I hope he does stay. But is he going to stay in New England? I really don't have any more details than you guys would have.
Yeah. Hey, Peter, I'm going to sneak one more in before we go.
Come on, Leo, give me more. Good job, Leo.
Ken and I played football together at Drexel. We played on the last football team at Drexel. We also had shirts that say we cheer for the Eagles and anybody playing the Cowboys. Was the Cowboys your biggest rival back then?
Yeah, no question. You know, it all started with Dick Vermeil. You know, when we came to Philadelphia, you know, he came in 76, I came in 77, and the Cowboys, they were America's team. They were the team that if we were going to be anything of a program, we had to surpass the Dallas Cowboys. And it was still Washington, it was still New York, but the Cowboys were the marquee team. They were America's team, coined by the great Steve Sable, as you know, at NFL Films. And when the schedule would come out, there'd be two circles on the schedule: Dallas home and Dallas away. And we knew that was always going to be our benchmark. If we were going to be a championship team and get to the Super Bowl, you know, we had to work to beat Dallas. You know, at that time we were playing 6 preseason games, and one year we got the Hall of Fame game. Vermeil was so happy because we had training camp a week earlier and we had 7 preseason games. Can you imagine telling these guys now you can play 7 preseason games? They'd probably walk off the field. They don't even want to wear pads at practice anymore. So, but anyway, it was Dallas, and we beat them in the 1980 NFC Championship game that propelled us to the Super Bowl. But they were a great football team, and it was out of respect that we formed this great rivalry with them.
Hey, Ron, real quick, what would John Madden have said about the tush push?
he probably would have liked it. You know, he probably would have. By the way, I like the play. I still think it's going to be banned. You know, about a month ago, I pulled up on my computer about 50 tush pushes because there's some other teams doing it. And
right.
In my opinion, hey, the league can do what they want to do. They'll have their committees investigating study. I think it's dangerous because if you look really, really close and study play by play, offensive linemen are going right for the knees of defensive linemen. They're going right for them, and they're kind of coming from another angle from your tackles blocking down on the defensive tackles. They're getting like double whams at players' lower body. So I look at it as a possible injury factor, like the crackback was, the chop block was. Those things they were big parts of the game. They eliminated him because of injury. That's how I feel about it. I think that's what the league will do. I don't think it's a bad play, but I think the fact that guys going at players' knees tells me that they're going to legislate that this push will be out.
Well, I'd say
the brotherly shove.
The brotherly shove or brotherly love or whatever it's called, and it's worked this year. Ron Jaworski, thanks a lot for your time. Go ahead and promote yourself here on The Evolution because you're always welcome back. I get you on for an hour. We could just talk football.
I love when Leo sends me a text. Can I join you guys? Every time I come on, I have a great time. You guys are very knowledgeable. You know your football, and it's always fun to be with us. Every need me down the road, don't hesitate to tell Leo to pick up the phone and reach out to me.
Sounds good.
Let's tell Leo that. Hold on. Hey, Leo, do that. Okay.
Leo, let's come on next Wednesday night. Let's do
it. Well, only one of us will be playing.
Yeah, exactly.
That's good. That's a good point. All right, Ron. Thanks a lot for your time here.
All right, thanks, guys, and Happy New Year. Great to be with you.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, Ron.
Absolutely.
See you, Ron.
Great stuff there, guys. I got another guest coming on. So, Leo, go ahead and promote yourself. I'll get you off of here. Go ahead and talk about what you're doing there. USF won tonight. Once again, go ahead and recap that a little bit.
Yeah, USF women, I'll tell you, Blasic had the first 35-point game in, I think, like 6-7 years. She was in fuego tonight. Tremendous. And go to Amped Up Sports. I had a interesting blog today on how the NFL and the NCAA needs to come up with some realistic rules on pass interference and holding that the referees can enforce. Because right now, it's a joke. It's a flat-out joke. Ken, would you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely, Leo. 100% on that.
All right, good stuff, guys. Ken, thanks a lot for your time coming on here. Anything you like to promote here on the Sports Web?
Peter, just an absolute pleasure this evening. Anytime I get to spend a minute with my brother Leo and the legend, the Polish rifle Ron Jaworski, it's a wonderful day in my life. So thank you for sponsoring us, Amped Up Sports, Night Sports Productions, and who knows, I'll see you down the line.
Sounds good,
Take care, guys.
Thanks a lot for your time, as always, here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. All right, guys?
Take care, fellas.
All right, good stuff there. Let's go out to our special guest here, Miss Janelle Richardson, artist, local Tampa Bay artist here, and I will go ahead and kill the phone line for right now because I want to introduce her. Just been a busy night here. Go ahead and introduce yourself to the webheads and to the sports talk fans. I got to say this really quick. I was kind of like flattered because you shared something and you said, I get a chance to talk football on this platform. And I'm thinking, you like to talk football? It's not just all about music. Go ahead and introduce yourself there. I love it.
I love football. Well, thank you so much, Peter, for having me. My name is Janelle with the apostrophe, as I always say. I am a artist here, Tampa native. I am a singer, songwriter, vocal coach here in the Tampa Bay area. I also have an organization for teen girls called She Got Vision, where I help individuals and creatives see the value in themselves. So I've been doing music for over, Lord knows, a long time since I came out of my mother's womb. Okay. But professionally, I've been doing music since I was 16. And that was when I first sung the national anthem at the Tampa Bay Rays game while I was in high school. And I was like, man, I get to do this all the time where I get to sing in front of all these people. Of course. Awesome. And, just to add on, I am a lover of football. I played it in high school, defensive end and linebacker. Those are my, so shout out to Levante David. I'm just saying. But I am a diehard Bucs fan. My dad has been a diehard Bucs fan. He played football, and it runs in my bloodline for sure, since Leroy Selman days. So yeah, I love football.
I love it. Well, yeah, you're definitely more than welcome here. And, you were saying you would like more of an opportunity because, women should be talking more about football. I always say this. I was put on this earth. God wanted me to corrupt every woman to be a football fan. So anytime you want to come on this show and chop it up and talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers or, the rest of the playoff teams, we're more than willing here. So you're always welcome here, Janelle. Appreciate the time as always. How long have you been a Tampa Bay Buccaneer fan, and who's your favorite Tampa Bay Buccaneer player of all time? Is it Derek Brooks? Is it Levante David? Who is it?
You said it, Derek Brooks, 55.
Right. And I kind of went to it because there's a commercial there for United Way. Who's my favorite player? Mr. Derek Brooks. See, I can't sing like you. Yeah, you can sing, but I cannot sing. So, and I know that. That's one of my favorite commercials of all time. So, yeah.
Yeah, so I've been a Bucs fan since my dad's been a Bucs fan. Since I was a little girl, we keep that tradition going every Sunday or Monday. Whenever the Bucs would play, I would go over his house, or, we would watch the games together. And up until now, I am 34 years old and my dad is a good 65, and we still do it. So it's just been a blessing to be able to keep that tradition going with my father. And I don't take those moments lightly. And that's how we bond. We bond through football. We scream, we be yelling and raising our voices. If I don't have to sing, of course, when they, the refs decide to call a bad play, or, throw flags all over the place when they know doggone well it wasn't no holding. But, I've been, watching football and have that love for football for a long time, since I was a little girl. So.
Well, I tell you right now, I like your dad because he did it the right way. You have a son or a daughter, you corrupt him in being a Bucs fan. My dad sat me down when I was about 8 years old and said, listen, you're either going to be a Bucs fan or you're going to leave the house. True story, along with all the other teams. I was 8 years old. I didn't know any better. And here we are covering the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We're on with Janelle Richardson, a local Tampa Bay artist here on The Evolution. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. So talk about this Tampa Bay Buccaneer team. How confident are you on Monday Night Football versus the Philadelphia Eagles on Wild Card Weekend? You think they could take care of it? I mean, they went 4 in a row, and then they lose to the stinking Saints, and then versus the Carolina Panthers at 9-0. So, do you have any concerns here?
Yeah, so it's funny because my best friend, she's from Philly, and we always have this rivalry. So she's like, we gonna beat them. Right, this is my best friend, right? Shout out to Kalata. I love you, girl.
Okay, I'm just checking now. Because there's some type of history there with Rondé Barber closing down the vet, Philly fans hating Tampa Bay fans, Tampa Bay fans, Philly fans. So let's talk about that really quick. How does that dynamic work with your friend being an Eagle fan and a Bucs fan? Do you guys go back and forth when the game is on? Do you text back and forth? How does that work out?
We talk trash all the time. We know where our love is, but we talk trash all the time. Of course, this is an ongoing rival but I think the Bucs really have a chance to do it. I just really think, I know with me, they just have to put their head in the game, really study the plays. Hurts is a running QB. So, you need to blitz. You need to figure out certain ways to actually get to him. And then they got this new Swift guy. Oh my God. Whoo! Defense just need to do their job and stop him from preventing them to score. You know what I'm saying? And of course, our offense, they just need to be on one accord with that. I know Baker, he's going through some healing challenges and whatnot. So the offensive line, the O-line need to continuously do their job of protecting the QB. So he can make sure that he throws, or, Rashad, has a pathway to actually run to get the first down. So that's my main thing when it comes to football. First downs get touchdowns. I'm a very patient football player, or connoisseur or whatever, but first downs always get touchdowns. I know we want to throw long, and that's cool. That's good. We got the Mike Evans, we got the Chris Godwins, you know what I'm saying? We have more, stepping up his game and stuff like that. But I'm a firm believer that first downs get touchdowns, and eventually you'll get that touchdown. And, Bucs just need to study the plays, study the Eagles, like study, and not be stuck in their ways. Not saying that they do that, but if I was the coach, that's what I would be saying. Study, making sure that you're doing exactly what you need to do in order to put points on the board and to stop the Eagles from getting points on the board. So
from running the ball. I mean, in your defensive woman, I mean, you play defensive end. It all comes down to defense, because I always say, and I think it's always been put out there, offense sells tickets, but defense wins championships. And of course, it's down to that defense. I mean, how confident are you, Janelle, in this defense on Monday night versus the Eagles?
Listen, I am 100% confident. I know it's not an Antoine Winfield game. It's everybody has a part to play. And if people play their part, especially our cornerbacks, if people play their part and do what they need to do, we will be able to win the game. You know what I'm saying? So we have great linebackers. Just keep your head in the game. We have great defensive ends. We have the individuals to do what they need to do. I love Yaya Diaby. Oh my God. To be a rookie doing what he does, oh my God. I truly believe he and Antoine Winfield are going to be the stars as far as defense and whatnot. So, but I think our defense, they're going to do the job. They're going to do the job. Just keep your head in the game. Keep your head in the game, you know? So
you're exactly right. And Yaya Diaby, as a rookie, 7.5 sacks. I mean, he's been tremendous. And just to think, you know, he was a 3rd-round pick. I don't even know how he lasted to the 3rd round. Good on Jason Light. You have Kalijah Cansey. So those are your young guys. Yeah. How disappointed were you? Because we kind of tweeted back and forth. I'm not necessarily a tweeter, but I saw you on there. You knew some mutual friends. You know Jay Buck. You know some guys out there. So we talked about Antoine Winfield Jr. How disappointed were you that he didn't make the Pro Bowl? And then once again, he got snubbed for being an all-pro. I mean, what are they watching here? You watch football. He's clearly one of the best players in the league, if not one of the best players in the league. I mean, how does that happen?
So my thing is, I think it's favoritism. NFL is full of favoritism. I'm going to be straight up. You know what I'm saying? You know, and they go for popularity contests, you know? So it's just like, you know, if you're not one of their favorites, then you're not going to get this. But my thing is, and I changed my perspective, I would much rather want to see Antoine Winfield in the Super Bowl than an all-pro.
You know the history of this because you know Rodney Barber also got turned down for the Pro Bowl. And then eventually it motivated him to close down the link there with close down the vet with the 92-yard interception. So hopefully that's the motivation. All right.
That's the motivation.
Yes, that is the motivation. You're a Stinger. I loved your story. I love the fact that you love the Bucs and you're a big-time football fan. But go ahead, give me talk to the crowd, talk to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers about getting you out there on Monday night, what you can do for them. And then I want you to go into a song, Hey, Hey, Tampa Bay. I'm going to put you on the spot here. So
wait, Peter, I didn't listen to the song.
Oh my gosh. Well, here's the song right here. You ready? It's it.
Oh God.
Hey,
okay.
Hey. Are you ready? Here it is. Okay.
Buccaneers, go Bucs! Hey, hey, Tampa Bay, the Bucs know how to shine. Hey, hey, Tampa Bay, the Bucs know how to shine.
Got it?
Okay.
All right. So I want you to go ahead. Talk to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as an organization. By the way, in case you didn't catch the news, I will be there covering it in collaboration with the JP Peterson Show. Thank you very much. Hopefully on the postgame, I don't know about the pregame show, but talk to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and their fans about Miss Richardson, what you want to do for them on Monday Night Football. Go.
Okay. So Tampa Bay Buccaneers and all of the lovely Tampa Bay Buccaneer fans. Like I said before, I am a diehard Bucs fan, but not just that, I am a Tampa native. So if I get the honor and privilege of singing the national anthem for the playoff games, it's only right. I say that because I'm not only doing it because I sing, I'm doing it because I'm representing Tampa. I'm doing it because I'm representing women. I'm doing it because, you know, not only have I, you know, done the anthem for the Lightning, I've done it for the Orlando Magic. I've done it for the Lakeland Magic. I've done it for the Tampa Bay Rays. And I recently did it for the NCAA volleyball championship at the Amalie Arena. And the only thing that's missing is NFL. So I'm just saying, I've sung the anthem before with the group, but I truly believe that I would be a great representation, especially for a playoff game. Having that Tampa native representing the city in itself and doing what I do, come on, And how can you resist this smile?
All right. With that being said, I'm going to ask you to go ahead and give them a little sample of what you got there. So if you want to sing the Tampa song, you can, or if you want to sing something else, to show everybody how talented you are, Janelle.
Okay. Want me to do a snippet of the national anthem? Is that okay?
Absolutely. Please go for it.
All right, here we go. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. And if you get me on for Monday, you will hear the rest.
There you go. Right there. Ladies and gentlemen, I put her on the spot and she came through with flying colors. There you go. All right. So, yeah, good stuff there. I'm going to definitely make sure the Tampa Bay Buccaneers get this video. I'm going to put it on Twitter. I'm going to try to share it to all the social media platforms. Give me some final thoughts on this Tampa Bay Buccaneer game on Monday night.
Listen, Peter, let me tell you something. I just want to encourage the Bucs and just let y'all know, just do exactly what you were meant to do and what you are called to do. You were chosen for a reason, and we know you can do it. You all have done it before. Shake off the nerves and all of that stuff, and then go out there, win, dominate, go Bucs. Bucs fans, we have to fill up that stadium with red, orange, whatever colors, because when Philly come in, you already know. So do not give up your seat. We have to fill up that stadium, show our Bucs some support, and let them know that you're not coming to our city. You're not going to come to our city and take over. That's what we're not going to do. So yeah, I hope y'all get this message. And thank you so much, Peter, for having me. I am so grateful.
Absolutely. And always welcome here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television to talk football and promote any events coming up here, because you got a beautiful voice.
Aww.
You're definitely unbelievable. We definitely like to promote artists. I'm all about Tampa Bay. I'm from here. I've been here all my life. There's not a lot of people here. You are from here. I'm from here. So any events that are coming up where people can actually see you work and not necessarily be in front of a camera, but sing and show everybody that you can sing. Any events coming up or concerts?
Yes. So I'm grateful you said that, because on this Saturday and this Friday, I'm going to be in St. Pete at Studio 620. I'm singing for a Soul Revival Festival. It's a huge festival, 2-day festival that they have. You can definitely find it online. I'm also going to be one of the hosts for the Gasparilla Music Festival on Friday night and Saturday. I'm so grateful to be a part of the Gasparilla Music Festival. And then also you can find me if you want to stay up to date with everything. Definitely look me up, J'_Nelle, or you can go to my website, www.imjnelle.com. So follow me, support. My music is on all streaming platforms. Get those ratings up, because the more you get them up, the more you're supporting your girl. So, and then there's so much more that I have in store, and I'm just so grateful. Thank you once again, Peter. I truly appreciate you. Thank you, and keep doing exactly what you're doing. So I'm grateful.
Well, I'm grateful for you. And like I said, always welcome here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. And we'll try to get it done. I'll try my best. I'll try to get that video out to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We'll get some Bucs fans behind you. And who knows, maybe I'll get a chance to meet you in person on Monday Night Football. How about that?
Yes, that sounds like a plan. Thank you.
All right, Janelle Richardson, thanks a lot for your time here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. All right?
Have a good one.
All right, good stuff there. I mean, not too bad. She wanted to come on and talk some football, and she did it. I asked her to sing, the national anthem, and she did it. Great voice, guys. I hope the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are watching. We're definitely going to get that video out to them because I want her to sing the national anthem. All right. Open phone line, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. I want to go out to these comments, and then we will get out to Turnbuckle Talk, talking wrestling action, of course, WWE, AEW, and then, of course, your Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Somebody tried to call in before. Please call back, and we will definitely get you back on there. Harry, would you bet the figurative house on the Bills this weekend? I know the money line is like minus 390, but any reason not to bet on Buffalo? I wish I would have read that comment, but you know what? We may have an over-under special edition over the weekend, so we'll see if we can get his response on that. Good job, Line Pete. Said he never met you in real life. I don't even know what you're talking about to this point. I mean, honestly, you bring nothing but just nonsense at this juncture.
This guy sucks.
I figured that AWJ was named first team All-Pro, and he was not. Once again, I don't know what they are looking at. I mean, you can be outraged about the Pro Bowl, and I was. People say, well, that's just a popularity contest, so he'll get named All-Pro. No, he wasn't also named All-Pro. So, once again, Kyle Hamilton, I don't know what they're looking at, honestly. I have no idea. Pig Dog Video 2001. Harry, what happened to 1252 Sports Fat Mike? I don't know. We'll have to ask him about that. We're pretty healthy right now. But Baker and a few other nagging injuries, absolutely. Not reading that. Read that at all. And by the way, if you're going to read the comments, bro, oh my God, YouTube chats are open. If you want me to read your comments, go ahead and give to YouTube Super Chats. I'll read your stupid comments anytime you want. And also Facebook stars are open. Give to the content. How is the Eagles quarterback finger doing? I mean, we don't know. We don't know until Monday night. But right now, it looks like he's definitely going to play. I wouldn't expect him to miss the game. Now, what is the effect of it? What's the effect of his accuracy going forward? What's going to happen in that situation? Hey, Peter and Harry, what's up? Thank you very much for tuning in. Bobby says, does Bowles lose his job at Tampa loses? Already answered that question for you. Don't listen to Anthony. Pete proved him a liar during the last show. Absolutely. Eagles fans want to fire everyone. They don't want to see their team Eagles fans want to fire everyone. They don't want to see their team in Tampa. Dave says, Ron, what are your thoughts on their defensive backs? David, I wish I could have got this question answered for you, but I do apologize. Go Eagles, says Roger Shue. And for that, you get this.
Acknowledge me.
And then you get this.
This guy sucks.
I mean, really? Really, you're going to come on the program and say, go Eagles? Man, oh man, I really don't know what to do with you, Roger Shue. Good show. I was hoping you would read the question to Ron to see what he had to say, but sometimes the ball doesn't bounce my way. So you guys have a good night. Thanks a lot for tuning in, David. Don't take it personally, but trying to manage a show with 3 other people, it's kind of difficult to read all the comments. But once again, if we do get him back on again, and we're looking to get him back on again, I will ask him about the question of zone defense. If you sing, we're going to blow them out. So sing. Okay, Brandon, thank you very much. Fabulous. Thank you, Jim. Appreciate it. Amen. Tampa Bay, good job. God bless you, 813. Appreciate that. Christopher Cole, great stuff. Thank you very much. I mean, listen, I could sit here all night long and talk to 3 other guys, which, Jaws knows his stuff. Or I could bring on a beautiful, talented woman whose plea was, please let me sing the national anthem for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, maybe I could fit in both. And then on top of it, the bonus is she actually knows football. Like, she wants to be here and talk to you guys about it. And I definitely want to talk to you about it. I want to talk to you about football. So let's talk about your favorite Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Let's talk about this matchup if you want to. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. I timed out Anthony. I'm going to ban him next. Yeah, I don't understand it. Like, the joke is kind of run its course here. Like, are you going to bring something to the table, or is it just going to be all? I mean, that's what it all is with you. Let's go out to Steve. It is what it is. Monday Night Football with iffy quarterbacks because of injuries, but guaranteed to be a killer game. Let me go out to the private chat here. What are the Eagles betting the Bucs Monday night? Acknowledge me. And I'll tell you right now, let's go out to the phone lines. We'll get out to the guys in just a moment. Welcome to the Evolution. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
You already know who this is.
Hey, Mr. Williams, what's going on, buddy? How you doing? How did you like that rendition of the national anthem by Miss Janelle Richardson?
Yes, she did a wonderful job.
Right?
Yes, I hope and I hope the Bucs owners do get that video.
Well, I hope they did too, and I'm definitely going to
do?
make sure they do get the video. Absolutely. So, are you there, Mr. Williams? Okay.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay.
But
all right.
what they ain't gonna do, these Eagle fans, they not gonna get up here with that.
Yeah, they're not gonna fill that stadium up. I think that's what you're trying to say, and then that's kind of been the disappointing thing with Bucs fans. I love you, Bucs fans out there, but do not give them any home field advantage. I don't care how much money you need. I get it. Times are tough. You can't pay rent. You can't pump gas.
Yeah,
you
man.
can't do this and do that. But
you're not gonna bring nonsense.
No.
You're not gonna bring that nonsense.
Yeah, don't bring that nonsense. Nobody wants to see that.
I got faith in my defense.
Okay.
31. Let's take one bite.
Okay.
And let's send them home. And let's move on to round 2.
So you think they're going to score 31 points? Is that what you're saying?
No, I say number 31.
Oh, Antoine Winfield Jr., who the
take it back.
Okay.
Take it back, man, and let's send them home, man.
Okay. All right.
Let's send them home. Devin White, stay in your lane.
Yes. Absolutely.
Stay in your lane. That guy Yabi, good God, man. Let's help out Vita, man. Some of you young guys, let's help out Vita, man. Let's keep him back there. Let's get him back there. And let's Swift.
Okay.
Nothing against you, but hey.
You got to shut him down.
We gotta stop him also.
Okay. All right. So I agree with you on that because he ran wild last time,
man,
over 130 yards.
Yeah, man. Let's my offense, we got to get on the board.
Yeah, you can't score 9 points and expect to win the game. Yeah, I get that.
We got to get on the board because the game against Carolina. Okay, I wish we could have gotten points on the board. We didn't.
Okay.
But all right, like they say, a win is a win. But no, we cannot do this in the playoffs.
No, you can't do that. And I think that's probably my biggest key of the game. You got to come out with some urgency. You got to come out and score points. Yes.
And right at my offensive line, we got to open up some holes. We got to open up some holes for number 1 and number 22. We got to open some holes up.
All right, my friend.
Let these guys get to work. Baker, we know you're bruised up. You're playing.
Sure.
You're playing with band-aids on, brother. Hey, man, I salute you from playing the way you playing. But this Monday night on Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. birthday.
Correct.
We're gonna go to round 2, Peter.
I like it. Mr. Williams. I like the optimism
we're going
as always.
To round 2, and we're gonna send these Eagles out of here with a broke wing, man.
I love it. All right, let me go ahead and give you the air horn for that. Appreciate you, Mr. Williams. Thanks a lot for the call. Let me go out to John here. Nothing like another opportunity to show the Rondé highlight closing the bet on national TV. Am I right? Absolutely. It's probably the single-handed greatest Tampa Bay sports play of all time, by far. Because as a Bucs fan, you knew, John, when it happened. I knew because of all the struggles with this Bucs team against the Eagles with the Tony Dungy years. Once John Gruden come here, you knew that once Ronnie Barber went back 92 yards for the winning touchdown, they were not going to lose to the Raiders. And once they did, so that's, to me, the greatest Tampa Bay sports play of all time. Love it. So good comment, John. Appreciate it. As always, for tuning into the evolution of Sports Talk Television. Tell you what, I'm waiting for Mark here. I think Mark is getting on. So we're about to talk some wrestling action, a lot of things to talk about. But I got to get their thoughts on this Philly game. We also got Ralph Williams, the bodyguard of the Berg. And the other big story of the day, Nick Saban retiring, Pete Carroll out. Lots of things going on right now in the football world. Let's go out to the madman himself, former XPW announcer, Mr. Mark Mancini. Welcome to the evolution of Sports Talk Television and the bodyguard of the Berg, Mr. Ralph Williams. Guys, lots to talk about. We'll get to turnbuckle talk in just a little bit, but I got to get your thoughts on the top story of the day, Nick Saban retiring. Mark, how surprised were you by that story today?
Well, first of all, this is the show that's sweeping the country. You're doing a damn good job. Keep up the great work. And
thank you.
You've definitely put Florida on the map, and just so blessed to be a part of this each and every Wednesday.
Well, I'm glad you're a part of it, my friend.
Yeah. Nick Saban, to me, is a legend. I mean, he's basically, got in the trenches with these kids, all the national titles down there. I know Bear Bryant was down there before him, but Nick Saban is taking Bear Bryant past him, is creating that legacy in Tuscaloosa. And what he's done is he's also created an atmosphere for the kids to push themselves to be better and to definitely remember where they started from. And that's hard these days to get these kids to buy into that, but he's done a great job. 7 national titles. That's simply amazing, man, when you think about it. Yeah, he's a legend, and he's leaving a legacy behind too there.
Is he the greatest coach of all time, Mark, in your opinion?
I think so. I thought Bear Bryant was, but I'm thinking Nick Saban is right there, and by winning that extra championship, has passed him. I mean, whoever gets in there now is going to really have to keep that program on, hallowed ground, kind of like what Harbaugh has done at Michigan. We've seen Bo Schembechler, then we saw a host of others come through there, and then it took a guy that left his alma mater to come back and return. And Harbaugh is another one, builds defenses. He's going to get a big payoff too, man, in the NFL somewhere. And I think it's going to be the Bears.
Well, and I think Jim Harbaugh goes to the Raiders. That was my prediction at the beginning of the whole playoff process. In fact, I predicted Michigan to win the national championship versus Washington, and Jim Harbaugh to go off into the sunset and coach the Las Vegas Raiders. Let me go out to you, Mr. Ralph Williams, bodyguard of the Berg, Pittsburgh's newest radio personality. What do you think of the Nick Saban story?
Well, like Mark said, he's a legend, but the fact of the matter is that this guy has been has done a lot in college football. He's won 6 national championships. The interesting thing here, guys, is I'm wondering if he's going to try to make an attempt to go back to the NFL, and I hope he doesn't, because when I drove a cab and Miami was in town, there were 3 names they didn't want to hear down there with the Dolphins fans when they would play the Steelers. They didn't want to hear Nick Saban's. They didn't want to hear Dave Wannstedt, and they didn't want to hear the guy who was the offensive coordinator up at Baltimore, and I can't remember his name. It started. I'm sorry?
Chan Gailey?
No, not Gailey. It was another guy that coached down there in Miami. He only lasted a couple seasons. He was a real good offensive coordinator. Cam Cameron. That's his name, Cam Cameron. Those are the 3 names that they didn't want to hear down there.
Jeez.
So, for him to go to the NFL would not be a good move. And I think by him retiring, and it's going to be a good thing for him.
I'll say it with me. He's not going to the NFL. In fact, I think he's got a cushy little job there with ESPN simply because the network has embraced the SEC network there with, $300 million, 300 million reasons. If you want a guy and you're embracing the SEC, I think you get the guy, possibly the greatest coach of all time, and Nick Saban to be an analyst, especially because a coach like that, you can walk away from the game, but even you ask a coach or a player, ask Tom Brady if he's done with the game. You have to do a podcast. You have to do this. You have to do that. You have to be somewhat a part of football. So I could definitely.
Or active. I mean, you have to be active. And plus he has his Aflac commercials too that he does.
Aflac. All right. So,
yeah.
Yes, exactly. All right. Let's talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Philadelphia Eagles. Mark, how do you see this game playing out? The Eagles are going in the opposite direction of the Bucs. They've lost 5 of 6. The Bucs have won 5 and 6, but of course, they have struggled. versus the worst team in the National Football League in the Carolina Panthers. So how do you see this game working out on Monday night? You being the worst handicapper, I got one of the best handicappers in Harry the Greek. How do you see this game working out, Mark?
Well, it's funny because just before I get on here, I was talking to my XM guys, and they were saying, boy, okay, we'll take your predictions and we'll figure these things out. But, you know, you want to come into the playoffs hot. The Eagles have stumbled. You broke it down 5 of 6. But this is a team that's been there before and know how to turn it on. And what better way to turn it on a Monday night in Tampa? You know, when you looked at the NFC South, it was a struggle. I mean, the Bucs, the Saints, and the Falcons. And I had the Falcons doing some damage in there, but they've held up short. But, you know, how good do you feel about it? And I don't want to, you know, throw, you know, more fuel on the fire here. But Tampa, you know, struggled to beat Carolina, beat them 9-0. I know the Eagles got beat by the Giants. But when you really look at this,
Arizona.
Yeah. But the Eagles, to me, if anybody can turn it on and get ready for the playoffs, I think the Eagles are a team that can go down in Tampa, get right. And if it plays out this weekend where I think the Rams can go into Detroit and Stafford's going to shut that down, because you need experience, and McVay's been there. And when you start to break some of these games down, I think the Cowboys win. Sending the Rams to the Cowboys, the Eagles to the Niners. And let me tell you, people are looking at 15-minute flashes here with the 49ers and tell me, watch out for the Ravens. Steelers have beat the Ravens twice this year, and there's only one team that's beat a team 3 times in a season. And I think you'd have to go back to the Pittsburgh-Cleveland days when Pittsburgh took them out 3 times in a season in the playoffs too. So I like the
Butch
Steelers
Davis
this
was
weekend.
coach.
Yeah, I like the Steelers this weekend too. If you want me to finish, I'll roll out the Dolphins, and that's a bunch of BS not having them on NBC. We got to, you know, trying to station it as Peacock here. That's crazy. 112
you don't like
million.
Peacock? You
Well,
got WWE on there.
Yeah, and you know, people got to flock and go hook it up and spend more money to get that. And let me tell you, I got the Texans to pay off the Browns there, and I think it's going to be a great weekend. I can't wait for Wild Card Weekend, man. And I know your Tampa Bay Lightning beat the Kings last night.
They did. They beat them last night 3-2 in overtime. We talk about the Tampa Bay Lightning on this show. It's crazy to say, but we do. We'll definitely talk more about them in the future. How do you see, Ralph, this game between the Eagles and the Bucs on Monday night?
You know what? I agree with Mark in some perspective, but you know what? Philly's been falling apart here. When they lost Jonathan Gannon and Shane Steichen, I said to everybody at the beginning of the year that I don't think Philly's going to be right without them. You know, and here I'm right, because now, you know, they're starting to sink in a time when you don't need to be sinking. You need to be doing something. You need to keep your head above water instead of sinking. And that's what Philly's doing right now. And you know what? Tampa just might upset these guys. And the way I look at it is, or the way I see it more or less, I think it's going to be probably, I would say, a 17-10 or 17 or 13-10 game, Tampa.
Well, and I tell you right now, it could certainly be like that, because right now both offenses are
hurting. Yeah.
Difficulties. They're literally hurting. Jalen Hurts is hurting, and Baker Mayfield is hurting with the ribs and the ankle and everything else. So we'll see how it goes. And then on top of it, you have the weather situation where I think it's like a 70% chance it's going to rain. Thanks a lot. It's going to rain. We're going to be covering it.
Yeah, you'll be there.
I'll be there. I got to get on the field, and I'm hoping, you know, I have some patience, because when you drive the cart out there and you got to go into the grass, and then you got to set this up, and then you're kind of worried about putting the equipment on the ground because you're on the field. You got to do this and do that. So I got to have some patience that night. So pray for me to have some patience.
Hey, Peter, why don't you set up a canopy, man? I mean, why are you always out there like that? Why don't you set up a canopy?
Well, I mean, I have to carry a canopy. I mean, that's the thing.
Canopy's not that hard to carry.
Just bring a lawn chair too.
I mean, I need to bring a lawn chair out there, guys.
Hey, you know what? Hey, Peter, I've seen a lot of schedules, but I haven't seen Tampa's schedule home and away next year. What's the rundown on them? Do you have 9 at home or 9 away?
To answer your question, let me go ahead and go Google it here, because I believe they're playing the Raiders at home. Let me see here. Bucs schedule next year. See, you put this on me. Bucs schedule next year. Let's go ahead. And I
think the Skins go down there, if I'm not mistaken, or the Steelers.
Right. Okay, let me see here. Okay. So here is the schedule from Buccaneers.com. And by the way, we'll have Scott Smith on here maybe next week on the Evolution. The home is going to be Philly, Washington, Broncos, Raiders, Falcons, Saints, of course, Panthers, San Francisco, the Ravens. That is a gauntlet. Gauntlet of games.
The kids when the Raiders
That's
come
crazy.
To
the Broncos. Oh, my.
Yes. You got the Broncos and you got the Ravens. And then
the Raiders.
You go to Dallas, New York, Kansas City, LA, Chargers. And then, of course, you go to the Lions, too. So lots of games next year. That of Bucs fans.
That's a tough schedule, man.
Yeah, that is tough.
Washington and Atlanta are going to have new coaches, so you don't know how they're going to play.
Exactly. It's not
the last time Tampa was in LA was a couple seasons ago. I think Jameson Winston threw 400 yards.
Well, no, that you're the last time the Bucs were in LA was against the Rams, and they lost the regular season game with Tom Brady.
Okay.
Yeah, and then they lost to the Rams again. So you got to bring that up. I hate the Rams. I hate the Rams as much as I hate the Eagles, and you had to bring up the Rams.
No, you know what? The Rams got egg on their face, Peter, because you know what? They haven't had draft picks in a while.
Listen,
and they went out and got all them free agents that got burned. I love it.
They won a Super Bowl that year with Matt Stafford, basically.
Oh, I know.
The same blueprint that the Bucs put out there with getting a Tom Brady and beat the Bucs twice that year. And I can answer your question. I believe the Green Bay Packers were the last team, one of the teams that beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 3 times in a row. So that whole, you can't beat a team 3 times.
We beat the Ravens.
That's a hell of a home schedule, man. The
John Harbaugh.
Raiders. Wow.
John Harbaugh, for some strange reason, screws up against the Steelers. He makes bad coaching decisions. He tries too hard to win the game, and then he ends up making a dumb decision. Like, he always gets burned or has to eat a 4th down, and I love it. He tries to go for it on 4th down, has to eat it.
All right, let's get to it, guys. Turnbuckle talk here. Wrestling, WWE action, AEW action. Cody Rhodes talked to Justin Barrasso of Sports Illustrated, and he was downplaying, of course, The Rock joining WWE because everybody just assumes that now with The Rock calling out Roman Reigns, which, by the way, Mark, you weren't here for that. What did you think of that event, how The Rock came out and they were kind of teasing it, or actually it wasn't SmackDown, it was Raw, the first show there, the first time of the year.
Day
with
one.
him, yes, day one.
Yeah.
Coming out there, Jinder Mahal, USA, and then saying in surprising fashion, because we heard some rumors about this months ago on the Pat McAfee show that they were going to do The Rock versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 39. How surprised were you that The Rock basically called out the tribal chief there? Where they have a match at WrestleMania 40, or will they do it at Elimination Chamber in Australia, in your opinion?
No, this is going down at WrestleMania. I think that's a mistake, because I think the storyline is already Cody Rhodes finished the story with Roman Reigns, not The Rock. Right.
What do you get out of that if you do Roman Reigns versus The Rock at WrestleMania, in your opinion?
Well, first of all, Rock's in Hollywood making movies and everything, so he doesn't have time to have this thing dragged out. I know we're about 2.5 months maybe from the start of this thing, but what better than Philadelphia, the 40th there. And, I thought it was going to be in Hollywood. It's a year later. But I'm telling you guys, if you got some money, put it down in Vegas, man. It's going down. It's going to be The Rock and Reigns, and it's going to be CM Punk and Seth Rollins here. These 2 matches are givens, man. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be right on one of them. I could be right on 2 of them. I just have a lot of faith. I've seen this business in and out. And believe me, they need a marquee thing to push this thing to the top. I think what's going to start to happen as we start to build towards this, you're going to start to see sides, align themselves. Nia Jax could be in this mix here. Nia, to see where she goes with Reigns, or you're going to start to see some guys here. This is gonna build up. This is gonna be a hell of a venue, and it's gonna be the battle of the bloodline when you look at it.
And I've had enough of the bloodline, and I want to read.
It's gonna reach its pinnacle, and this is where I think it's gonna reach its pinnacle, and then it'll die off, and The Rock will do his own thing. Now, Cody Rhodes could come in there and steal the belt from The Rock or something. I don't know how it'll all play out. I will tell you, CM Punk's winning the Royal Rumble, because there's no way they're going to have a McIntyre Rollins dragged out all the way till April. It's Punk and Rollins, and I don't quite know who's the face and who's the heel here.
Well, and I tell you right now, I always thought it was going to be Punk and Rollins, and that's going to be probably night one of WrestleMania. And I tell you why you don't do Roman Reigns versus The Rock, because Roman Reigns is already over. There's nothing more you can do. I mean, I guess he could surpass Hogan, but I think everybody's kind of tired of that storyline. They want to see Cody take it. Again, Roman Reigns is supposed to go off to Hollywood. He's supposed to be the next Rock and do all these movies. What better way than, to put it on a guy like Rhodes, who you already got a homemade storyline, and the fact that his father never won the title, and now Cody's able to do it a year later. I get what you're saying about long-term booking and storytelling, because, of course, The Rock came out there with Roman Reigns winning the Royal Rumble, I believe in 2015 at Philadelphia. Let me go out to you, Bodyguard. What do you think of, Roman Reigns versus The Rock at WrestleMania 40? Is it the right thing to do, or is it the wrong thing to do? Should it be Cody versus Roman Reigns?
Well, here's what I know. It's going to be Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton. Randy Orton is going to get the title. I don't know if you're aware, Nick Aldis wants to suspend and fire Roman Reigns before any of this even goes on. He's talking about canceling the Fatal 4-Way. They're having an emergency meeting with the board because Aldis is tired of Roman Reigns and his tactics. I mean, on Friday he said there's going to be a Fatal 4-Way, and I just checked some stuff out, and I have a few people I reached out to, and they told me that this is where this is going, and it's going to be Roman Reigns versus The Rock at WrestleMania. It's going to be Orton versus Cody Rhodes for the title, and then it's going to be Seth Rollins and CM Punk. That's where this is going.
That makes no sense to me. I think that Reigns will keep the title. He's going to be put in that Fatal 4-Way. There's no way he's going to lose to anybody. Not after WrestleMania. There's no way you do that. I get what you're saying about Randy Orton. It's kind of up in the air what he's going to do. There's
a couple different scenarios out there, Peter. It's not just this one, but this is the one that I saw that I think might happen. But there's some other scenarios. But Randy Orton supposedly is going to win the title. Roman Reigns is going to be suspended or whatever is going to happen to him, and he's going to come back WrestleMania and he's going to fight The Rock. Aldis is out to get him out of here. I mean, that's as simple as that.
I mean, yeah, but you know what? Aldis is, he can push his weight around all he can, but the bottom line is who sells tickets, who moves merch, and Aldis ain't moving merch like Reigns is. So I think Reigns has got that. But the question here is where does Drew McIntyre fit? To me, he's gone off a cliff and burned. I don't know what they're doing with him. I mean,
there's talk of him.
This guy went over a cliff, and they're looking with flashlights trying to find the car, and if he's still in it.
Well, listen,
his contract ran out.
Well,
or it's going to run out.
There's talk of him, and like Ralph said, he stole my thunder. There's talk of his contract running out, and eventually him going to AEW or not re-signing because he is upset with creative. And of course, when you bring in The Rock and you bring in CM Punk, you take those opportunities away from McIntyre. So it'll be interesting to see. Now, Cody had these comments for Sports Illustrated. He said, The Rock is the great one. He's still electrifying. CM Punk is one of the greatest stars in the history of wrestling. I know what I'm up against. Look at the roster. It's loaded with stars, but that doesn't bother me. I'm not flinching. I'm not rooting against anyone else. I'm just working to make it happen. So again, he's doing this whole storyline like his father. It's set up perfectly. I'm telling you, I will go to Vegas and bet on this, that Cody Rhodes is your eventual champion over Roman Reigns, and they do wrestle at WrestleMania 40. Any bets? You guys want to take that bet?
Well, I think it's Reigns and Rock because for that event to take place in that city. Now, I could see here's what I could see.
It's going to be Reigns and Rock at Elimination Chamber in Australia.
Well, here's what I could see, and correct me if I'm wrong, boys.
Yes.
Because it's a weekend in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
So they'll start it Friday with SmackDown. It'll escalate into the 2 days with WrestleMania, and they'll climax with Raw. So you got 4 nights in the Liberty Bell City there. You could be right on the 4th night, but the main event on those 2 nights, whichever day they wrestle, which I think would be Sunday, Rock will take it. Now he could drop it to Rhodes come Monday after he beats the hell out of the Rock. Reigns does, and that's where I could see maybe Rhodes taking it from him. But I don't see him main event in that thing in Philly. I could see him taking it on Raw the next night, after the aftermath where they start to build the rivalries.
No,
hey, Damian Priest is going to turn in the case.
don't say that, because we saw that happen a couple of years ago with Seth Rollins. We're on with Turnbuckle Talk here with the madman himself, Mr. Mark Mancini. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with the bodyguard, Mr. Ralph Williams. Now, Matt Riddle had this to say, of course. He signed with MLW.
MLW, yes. And he beat Jacob Fatu.
Well, there you go. Riddle discussed his desire to have a match against WWE Hall of Famer Goldberg. Of course, Goldberg, as we talked about, just said that Vince screwed him out of a retirement match because he was supposed to let Roman Reigns go over him, and then Vince was supposed to set him up with some type of retirement match, and of course it didn't happen. This is what Riddle had to say about Goldberg. I don't want to give too much, but I personally would love to work with William Goldberg. He called him William Goldberg, not Bill. I don't know what that's all about, but okay. I think me and Goldberg would be a great match. I think I could get something out of him that people haven't seen in years. I think it'd be great for business. I know it'd be really great for me, but at the end of the day, you can't, if he wants to do it, he'll do it. If he needs to do it, he'll do it. I mean, there's a couple places we could do that. I would imagine maybe an AEW, maybe a TNA, maybe a New Japan. But if it was going to happen, it would probably be AEW. Riddle and Goldberg are not in AEW. So first and foremost, is this foreshadowing that eventually Tony Khan and AEW will sign Matt Riddle versus Bill Goldberg? And are you buying that match, Mark Mancini?
No, I'm not buying the match, because to me, Riddle's gone off a cliff too, and there's looking for his car with flashlights and searchlights. I mean, come on, man. I mean, here's the guy. I mean, you were in WWE, you're making money, and before you came into WWE, there was all these allegations surfacing and stuff. You put him behind, then they resurfaced again. I mean, I don't know. This guy's been given. I mean, this guy reminds me almost like, God rest his soul, Steve Howe, that was given like 9 chances with the Dodgers in the 80s. How many chances does a guy need? Some people don't get 1 chance. This guy's got 3-4 chances with WWE. He's just going to go and try to find himself and see if he can make it a 5th shot, to come back. But Goldberg, on the other hand, you know what? This has been a long line of people criticizing Vince McMahon and what he's done to these guys. And I've always said this on the show, it'd be a hard thing to work for a guy like that, because, he might give you, the filet mignons and the lox and bagels and all that, and the fancy cars and the women and everything. But is it really worth it at the end of the day when, the next day he changes his mind like the weather and you're out? I mean, I don't know. I couldn't work for a guy like that, to be honest. I don't care how much money he's worth.
Well, I want to go out to Christopher Cole here because he has a good point here. Any more news about Monday Night Raw on Amazon Prime? That has been the other big rumor, so we'll get to that in a moment. And then Christopher Cole, Peter, it's WWE. Anything off the wall can happen and will happen. You're exactly right, Christopher Cole. Thanks a lot for tuning in here, as always, on Turnbuckle Talk on the evolution of sports talk television.
Is that Adam Cole's brother?
I don't think it is. I don't think he is the devil. He may be. Christopher Cole, a great web hit here on the evolution. So, with that being said, Ralph, do you want to see Goldberg? I think Goldberg is done. I think he's done everything.
Nah,
do you want to
no,
see
I don't want to see Goldberg.
Riddle? I mean, is that a match that you're buying on AEW? Is that the last straw for AEW?
No. If there's going to be a match like that, it'll be on MLW, because remember when Andrade and Ric Flair teamed up for his last match, it was a special thing on MLW. And so,
See,
oh,
I'm going to go out.
I don't even know what to say.
I'm going to go out to this guy, guys. J.C. Allen, my buddy right here from Sports Illustrated, says it best. Rock versus Roman at Elimination Chamber. And I'm going to tell you why it's going to happen. You've got 70,000 fans. You could still do a major pay-per-view. Again, the vehicle is what? Everybody wants to see Rock and Roman because they're both cousins and you never seen it before. And they teased it during the Rock show and they kind of teased it now. They definitely are going through with it. But there is no reason why The Rock should win this match. And I'll tell you why. If he's champion, the whole premise of having this match is first and foremost, it's going to sell. Second, it's going to make money. Third, it's also to confirm what a lot of people want to confirm at this point, that Roman Reigns is the man. So the reason how you put him over is you have him beat The Rock. Now, they may do something different, but I don't necessarily think that's going to happen. And it shouldn't happen at WrestleMania. Again, the storyline is Cody versus Roman Reigns. So good stuff there, JC Allen. We go back out to JC. Got to get people to tune in at 4:30 a.m. Somehow. I mean, yeah, 4:30 a.m. By the way, are you going to be up at 4:30 a.m. watching the Elimination Chamber?
Yes.
I'm an early guy.
What day is it on?
Riser.
If it's on a Saturday, I'll get up and watch it.
It probably is on a Saturday. It's on a Saturday. Yeah. I think I'd probably get up for Roman Reigns versus The Rock at 4:30 in the morning. Wouldn't you?
Yes.
Well, if you have a significant other, I don't know, maybe you'll roll around in bed and do a tape delay on
it. Very good. For single guys like myself, that may change in the future here. Most likely it's not going to.
God, man, with all those gorgeous babes at the Buccaneer bandwagon there off that pirate ship.
Oh, yeah. That's
that looks like a nice stadium, man.
Yeah, it is. It is a very nice stadium.
Hey, you know what? Maybe the Tampa Bay Rays should take little side notes and bring their guys to see what a stadium should look like.
Well, they should take their ownership also and do the same thing. But that's neither here nor there. That's another show here. Ralph, 4:30 in the morning, Rock and Range. You getting up for it?
Yeah, I'd get up for it.
Oh, yeah, I'd be up for it. Absolutely. Okay. I think a lot of people are going to be up for that. I have Peacock on my cable system, so I don't need to worry about paying an extra monthly fee or whatever it is. And I have it on my tablet, and I take it with me. So, it's I'll be up in the morning for it if that's what it is.
All right.
Hey, you know what? I can see the slogan right now: "Boots to asses versus levels above."
Yeah.
And absolutely.
There you go.
Let's go out to JC again. I think it's Sunday our time. So there you go. Sunday our time. Sasha Banks at Rumble 2 calling it. Now, I've heard something totally different. That was another story there. Supposedly, Banks and WWE were negotiating, and those negotiations broke down. Now she could be headed to AEW because she wants Charlotte type of money, and WWE is not ready to pay that. First, Mark, do we believe that rumor that negotiations broke down, or do you think Banks will finally make her way back to WWE, or does she go to AEW, in your opinion?
I think she finds her way back to WWE. She's a Boston girl, and you know what? I think she's one of the best Boston girls I've ever seen. So I like her. I like her style. I like her charisma. And WWE needs her to really take the women's thing to another level, because Charlotte Flair's now out for quite a while.
Yeah, she's out for about 9 months now, and some people are kind of saying that they think she may come back. We'll get to that in a moment. But Ralph, Sasha Banks and WWE, or do you believe the reports that Tony Khan, being a guy that has signed a lot of WWE talent in the past, will do the same thing with Banks to improve that women's division?
Oh, he has to, Peter. He has to sign Sasha Banks or Mercedes Moné or Mercedes Harris or whatever her name is. They has to sign her because he needs help with the women's division. That women's division there is horrible. And then, he's pissing Britt Baker off to where she wants to leave. And, it's getting out of hand there. So she needs something to boost ratings. He needs something to get butts in the seats. Tonight they were in Jacksonville at that Daly's Place or whatever. And I heard they're going to start having these shows at smaller venues because they're not selling out. So, AEW needs to do that. They're going to possibly lose MJF. They have to find somebody to come in and pick up the slack here. And I think Sasha Banks can help his women's division. WWE, they're going to get Naomi. Naomi's coming back. She's going to lose her belt at Hard to Kill for TNA. Her contract's up. She's going back. She's going back to WWE. She'll be at the Royal Rumble. So we'll see how this all works out. I don't see Sasha Banks coming back right now.
All right, let's go out to the comments here, Mr. KR. Evening, guys. I missed most of the show. Man, you missed a hell of a show there. We had Ron Jaworski on. We had Leo on. We had Ken on. We had Harry the Greek to start off the show. Did a great job there. We had a Tampa Bay local artist and Janelle Richardson, who did the national anthem live here on the
yeah, that was good.
Guys, you guys got to follow that. That was a hell of a performance by that artist there, a local team.
I like the comment down there. He runs the South. The only thing you run the South is with the Southern Bells.
We shut up and be quiet. The Bucs do run the South. Let's go out to JC here. Tony Khan making comments on social media. I mean, he's a guy that just needs to get off of social media altogether. Let's go out to Samoa Joe. First and foremost, how surprised were you, Mark, that they took the belt off of MJF? I mean, he had it for a year. They did this storyline with Adam Cole being best friends, and then they reveal that Cole is the devil with this new faction, which, by the way, I think it's like the 17th faction in AEW. Yeah. I mean, what did you think of that whole storyline, and were you surprised that they put the title on Samoa Joe?
No, I wasn't surprised because you kind of figured with Samoa Joe throwing his weight around, it was just a matter of time before they were going to give it. And we've seen this. We've talked about this on these shows. These kind of guys drift in, drift out. That's why CM Punk was pissed off years ago. Part-time wrestlers coming in. And you know what, guys? When you see these things, I wouldn't be a bit surprised or shocked that another guy comes in just before WrestleMania. It could be Brock Lesnar again. So, I mean, you're starting to see these guys that have, blood, sweat, and tears, 8, 9 in the morning, 7 at night, 5, 6 days a week, putting in the work in, trying to get better, trying to get the opportunity. Then here comes a part-time guy that finished American Fiction or, one of Thanksgiving or one of these movies, and here we are. We can donate some time.
Well, Samoa Joe is definitely a full-timer, but you're exactly right. The part-timers coming in, they kind of rubs the other wrestlers the wrong way.
When is Batista coming back? Is he done with all the other moves?
Well,
I like that.
There's money.
That's a good one. I like that.
I think he's retired, but if there's money to be made for a match, I definitely think that Triple H would be open to it.
Hey, just create a tag team. Just bring in Batista with Root here, and we'll create a tag team.
Yeah, nobody wants to see that at all. Samoa Joe has this to say in his comments. I understand the world of professional wrestling. I've seen these things work at a very high level, and I understand the type of people backstage that it takes for that to happen. I try to be that person. He goes on to say, as a champion, you're a standard bearer. I'm more than happy to take up the mantle. I really want to make a focus of getting the fans' attention back on the conflict in the ring. A lot of the petty stuff needs to melt away. Let's get back to entertaining people. I always thought Samoa Joe was very underrated and couldn't understand why he didn't get over more in WWE. So talk about Samoa Joe as a champion in AEW. Mark, is this the right thing to do going forward for them?
Well, I think so, and I've always liked him. I thought, he was going to be a big star in WWE. Just kind of fell out of favor there, it looked like. And, and now over here, I think it's a good thing. And, I kind of thought if he got out of WWE and he didn't get an AEW, where the hell was he going to go? And the only other option, I thought, maybe the Sopranos, if they brought that whole group back.
Oh, jeez. All right. No Sopranos at all. Ralph, what do you think here about Samoa Joe being the champion going forward?
I think it's a good thing. It's due time. He should have been a champion in the WWE. And as you said, he was underrated and it needed to happen. And I'm glad it did. But again, AEW has to do something because MJF's contract ran out. He's taken some time off to heal from his injuries. Nobody knows if he's going to come back. And if he goes to the WWE, and I talked about this earlier tonight, if he goes to the WWE is going to be one heck of a machine with all these guys. Like CM Punk, MJF, all these guys.
Logan Paul. Look at
Logan Paul. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, Tony Khan has to do something. So Samoa Joe's the right guy right now to carry the company.
All right. I like what you're saying. What do you guys think about Sting's last match as a tag team versus the Young Bucks with Darby? Wow. I mean, Sting's last match, I can't believe we're sitting here and saying that because it seems like he's wrestled forever. He was my first wrestler that I watched besides Ric Flair, and that was in 1988.
Yeah.
I remember watching WCW Saturday.
Was that Stark? He was part of the Starcade thing, too, wasn't
yes.
he?
Yes, he was.
He was.
Yeah.
Yes.
He was a horseman, too.
Yes, he was, and he
was a horseman.
One of the greatest.
My favorite time with Sting was when he was in TNA and he was Joker Sting.
Yep.
I loved it when he was Joker Sting. Oh my gosh, was he funny?
The guy could create characters all over the place. Once again, there's another wrestler who I feel like waited too long to get to WWE because if he goes to the big network here in New York, I think he's even even bigger star than what he is already. All right, we'll finish out with this, and then we'll end it off for the night here. Biography. WWE is getting on with A&E. Of course, they do the WWE Rivals, and then also Biography WWE Legends. First and foremost, what do you guys think of this series? Would they do the Rivals, and then of course the Biography of the Legends? What do you think of this series overall? Because I think it's been well done. You learn some things about wrestlers you had no idea about, and especially the Rivals. It kind of takes you back. So what do you think of that whole series by A&E?
Oh, I like it. I totally like it. And, the only thing I would do if I were going to run this whole thing, I'd start to bring not only the guys like the Cenas and the Rocks and some of those guys, I start to filter the Rick Rudes and find out all those guys that came out of Minnesota. The Kurt Hennings, that whole what they did before they got into wrestling, bouncers and stuff like that. I think you got to get into that kind of thing, elevate, the Jake the Snakes and find out how he started childhood. I think it's good, but I would drag this out and include everybody. It's kind of like a company. You don't market 3-4 guys of the company, the CEOs. You find out what everybody else is, how important they are to where you got to draw the 6-figure salary. So that's how I would.
Ralph, what do you think about this series overall, how it's done with A&E? They do a good job or what?
Yeah, they do a good job. Vice does a good job, too. They have some stuff. And also on YouTube, I ran into some stuff, the rise and fall of Matt Riddle. I mean, things like that. So, A&E has done a really good job of putting on the Biography and the Rivals. I love the Rivals. I didn't know this, but Hulk Hogan, when him and Andre were discussing the match, do you know that Andre the Giant, when he wrestled that match, he had a bad hip, and he couldn't when the Hogan, and so Hogan said, "Well, I'll just pin you and everything else," and Andre didn't have a problem with it, and no one ever knew that. I mean, I didn't know he had a bad hip going into that match. Yeah.
He was definitely not at the healthiest at that point.
Right, at that point, yes.
And you remember Hogan always saying he was surprised because Andre didn't just pass the torch to anybody. He passed it to Hogan.
He passed it to Hogan, yes.
Right, and he didn't have to do that, but he did it. Okay, so the WWE Rivals returns with actor and former WWE writer Freddie Prinze Jr., leading a roundtable discussion of WWE superstars to explore the storylines and characters at the helm of epic rivalries that were built in WWE. Some of those, get this, the first one they start out with, and this to me is kind of underrated, gentlemen, Triple H versus The Rock, because this is when Triple H goes back to being a mid-carder. He's supposed to be the guy, but the incident at Madison Square Garden happens where he's hugging Kevin Nash, he's hugging Scott Hall. Shawn Michaels goes out with injury, and of course he was the champion at the time, and the guy that is basically penalized for the whole deal is Triple H, but he has him go against The Rock. How underrated, in your opinion, was that rivalry in the first place? Because everybody always talks about The Rock versus Stone Cold. That's the Ohio State versus Michigan, right? But how underrated is the Triple H and The Rock, in your opinion, Mark?
Yeah, it was underrated. And, when we first got acquainted with Triple H, it was the Hunter Hearst Helmsley thing. So kind of came out almost like the Karrion Kross type of thing. But I think it was underrated. You're right. Mid-card guy. And, the big thing was Stone Cold and everybody else back then. But I think when you look at where Triple H has taken himself and elevated himself and he took advantages of opportunities that were given to him. And most of all, he was ready for those opportunities because he saw it firsthand. Yep. So I think that's what separates Triple H from a lot of guys is they're given an opportunity and they fumble it like a football trying to cross the goal line. He secured it. He learned how to secure it. I'll leave it like this, guys. We all grew up with quarterbacks to deviate away from the WWE for a minute. With the Dan Marinos, the John Elways, they carried clipboards for a year. You saw this year with Green Bay, Love, carried the clipboard for a couple of years, backing up Aaron Rodgers. He was ready for the opportunity. 30 TDs. These teams just don't get it. They don't grasp it. That's why the Justin Fields, that's why the Trey Lances, the Zach Wilsons fall out of favor real fast because they're thrown into these situations. They can't grasp the situation. And you see that in wrestling too. And I think Triple H elevated himself. He married Stephanie McMahon, and look what he's done. He's become, I know he can't wrestle anymore, but I think it's a hell of a story.
It is a hell of a story, Ralph, and everything he went through because, again, he was supposed to be the guy and he was penalized for that incident. And then he worked his way back up. And one of those rivalries that nobody really talks about, but really did shape the WWE was against The Rock. Is that underrated in your opinion? Should we talk about those matches between both of those competitors more than what we do?
I saw some matches with them too that'll knock your socks off. And you're right, it is underrated. Those matches with Triple H and The Rock, I mean, just one pin after another, one signature move after another, one kick out after another. It was just phenomenal matches all across the board.
All right. Other rivalries that are going to be on this show in the coming weeks, Jake the Snake Roberts versus Macho Man.
Wow. Yeah.
Okay. Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels. That's another classic one.
Yeah.
John Cena
Ramon. How about Razor Ramon versus Shawn Michaels?
Well, I think they already had that, or they haven't had that yet. But you got Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels, John Cena versus Randy Orton.
Right.
That was a good one. Hardy Boys versus the Dudley Boys.
Yes.
We need to go back and look at that because I don't remember that one as clear. So I'll be watching that. That's what I do. That's what I'm the
Battle of ECW because they were all in ECW.
Yeah. Well, Hardys weren't, but Dudleys were.
Jeff was.
Well, excuse me. Actually,
hold
on.
Then the Dudleys came over to XPW too.
Well, actually, let me take this back. You got John Cena versus Randy Orton, Hardy Boys versus Dudley Boys versus Edge and Christian.
Oh gosh!
Wow. Oh, then you got The Miz versus Daniel Bryan, and the biography this year, which is individual wrestlers. Of course, the Legend Killer Randy Orton, Sergeant Slaughter, Scott Hall, a.k.a. Razor Ramon, which is sad in itself because he's no longer with us, which is amazing. Diamond Dallas Page, which I think is he's such an underrated wrestler. Even though he's a Hall of Famer, the guy never got the proper due, in my opinion. Because remember, when he started out late in his career. He was a manager and a valet, and his story is amazing in itself. So looking forward to that. British Bulldog, no longer with us. And, of course, once again, you got Roman Reigns. So Roman Reigns in a biography right there. Guys, thanks a lot for your time here.
You're welcome.
Go ahead and promote yourself here on The Evolution.
XM 203, Series 217, WWDB out of Philadelphia with Marianne and Sal. Across the board on all these other shows. Kip Gross and myself, The Gross Misconduct on Tuesdays, and just so blessed to be a part of this one with you, Peter, in Tampa. And I'll be thinking of you Monday, man. When I watch the Bucs, I think of you, buddy.
Hey, man, I really appreciate that, Mark. The Madman, former XPW announcer. Thanks a lot for tuning in here and being on Turnbuckle Talk.
I love you guys. Have a blessed week, man.
Thank you.
Take care, buddy. There you go. Let's go out to Ralph Williams. Go ahead and promote yourself here on The Evolution.
You can catch me on Facebook. You can catch me on LinkedIn. I'm also on Twitter X platform, and I have my own YouTube channel. Several shows on there. Sports Corner Radio Show with myself and Smoking Jim Frazier every Tuesday. Peaking up in Pittsburgh real soon. It's going to be My show and another show is the only live sports talk shows around because there's a company right now that's getting ready to filed for bankruptcy, and a lot of the live talent here is going to be out of a job.
Well, there you go, my friend.
We're peaking up. I mean, in 2024 is going to be the year of Sports Corner.
Love it.
Sports Corner Radio. Thank you, Peter. And that doesn't include my other stuff I have. I have my own blog talk radio channel now, and Wrestle Talks on there. I have Ralph's Opinion and the External Bum podcast.
All right. Good stuff, Ralph. Appreciate
Thank you.
time as always. Yeah, absolutely. Happy Wednesday to you. We'll get you on next week. Thanks a lot to all the guests tonight. Guys, like and subscribe to the Sports Web on YouTube. Of course, I Love St. Pete Bucs Life. Friend me on Facebook at Peter H. Blake. Give to the effort there. Of course, YouTube Super Chats and Facebook stars. And do 3 things for me as we get you ready for Bucs versus the Philadelphia Eagles on Monday Night Football. We'll got you covered. Credentialed media for most likely the post-game show in collaboration with the JP Peterson Show. 3 things. You know them. You love them. You got to have them. Bring your passion. Bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. I'm your host, Peter Blake, your Rolex reporter. What time is it? It's my time. And for fans of the Sports Web and the Tampa Bay Sports Fan, it's your time. We'll see you next time on the evolution of Sports Talk Television.